Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Yeah, it is Wednesday, and don't adjust your set. No, Adam the Bull did not lose 100 pounds and suddenly turn into the Incredible Hulk. Maurice Clarett is in for Adam the Bull today. Maurice, great to have you on again. Good. How you been, man? Everything good?
Great. I've been great, yeah.
UConn Huskies, huh? You do some work for them, don't you?
Yeah, I go up there on a regular basis to work with the basketball team.
Very nice.
Yeah, those are my guys.
You don't feel weird knowing you a Buckeye putting on other college stuff?
No, you'll graduate after you go. Like, whoever pays you.
Yeah. Look, Ohio State wants to pay him finally. Let's get it done.
He pledged allegiance to green. That's what it's about. And by the way, this is the NAACP episode of the. Right
do I have to leave?
No, you good.
Do I need to leave?
You moderate, and then what we're going to do is see. This works well, man. See,
you know what? This is going to be a great show for a lot of reasons. But for those of you that remember the epic story of G. Bush doing an entire 20-minute radio interview impersonating Bro Jurevicious because the radio hosts thought that's who they called. It's one of the greatest stories you'll ever hear. Anyhow, Bro Jurevicious is going to be in studio later in the show, and it will be the first ever meeting between Bro Jurevicious and Bro Jurevicious. And we're going to play a game called Bro or Joe. And they've each given our producer, McNuggets, explain it, McNuggets. How's this going to work?
Yeah, so I got 10 random facts from Bro Jurevicious. Joe sent me a couple. I won't tell you how many he sent. And we picked the best of the best, the hardest to decipher whether it's Bro or Joe. We're going to present it to you, Tyvis, and Maurice, and the people at home to see if you guys can be better than that Kansas City radio host in deciphering who is Bro or who is Joe.
I can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Also, on the show today, and this, whenever he's on, all you have to do is say his name. You don't need to say what he's going to talk about, but you just have to say his name. Leroy Hoard will be here later in the program. So there's enough reason to stick around. But guys, we're going to start on a very serious note because yesterday at the Browns' first day of mandatory minicamp, Deshaun Watson actually spoke to the media, and I think it was a huge surprise to everybody. Yeah. There was no indication before yesterday that he was going to do that. We had sort of theorized on the show that in light of the 23rd and the 24th accusers coming out, and now 25 and 26, that someone, whether it was Deshaun or Rusty Hardin, his attorney, or the Browns, felt we've got to swing back. We can't just take these punches. So he came out yesterday, and he did a pretty lengthy interview. He answered all the questions that were asked of him. We've picked 3 sound bites from yesterday that we thought were particularly important for one reason or another. In the first one here, you're going to hear Deshaun talk about why the jury in these civil cases should believe him over his accusers. Listen.
Why should a jury that might hear these cases believe you over dozens of women?
I understand that question, and I definitely respect it, but I feel like with this environment coming off the football field, it's hard to answer that question, especially without talking to anybody on my legal team. But at the same time, I've been honest and I've been truthful about my stance, and that's, I never forced anyone, I never assaulted anyone. So that's what, I've been saying it from the beginning, and I'm going to continue to do that until all the facts come out on the legal side. I have to continue to just, go with the process of my legal team and the court of law.
What do we make of that? Maurice, you can start. Did anything jump out? Did he misstep there when he said, without talking to my attorneys, I can't answer that?
I think just he was probably coached on, hey, we have so much information coming in one direction to make you look bad. You have to come back at it. But you can see, like, the first few seconds, he just summarized what they said and brought himself to a safe space to give him, like, this canned answer. And to me, that's what I saw, just you giving him this canned answer and said, hey, once we get the facts from the case and once we find out more information, I've never assaulted anybody. And I think that he just wanted to push that narrative.
Yeah.
I actually agree with that. I mean, I think like you said, it seems very thought of. Like he didn't want to go act off of emotion, and I think that's what they want him to do. Like, is it bothering you? Like, show us some emotion, and he don't want to give that away. I think if he goes out there and give a whole spew, he might say something terrible, and it might not go good. So I think he did the right thing by answering it the way that he did.
What do you think?
Yeah, when I used to work at DirecTV in a call center, we had a technique. They used to call.
Your boys are laughing at you now.
Hey, this is it right here. Wait, you
guys used to apologize way too much, by the way.
You gotta wait for the punchline.
I'm sorry your service isn't working.
So at DirecTV, we used to give people. You're right. We got a lot of complaints. We wanted to sell packages. We used to tell them we're gonna aim this person. We're gonna aim them in the direction we want to go. Now, AIM stands for acknowledge, inform, and move on, right? Or some people say acknowledge, ignore, move on. He did a perfect job there. While I understand that is, I respect the question. You acknowledged it. Mm-hmm. You informed them that your lawyer or your counsel has told you not to speak to those allegations. You informed them that, and you moved on and said, next question, or I can only concentrate on football at this time. Yeah. And what that does, it gives you a good opportunity to not be dismissive, but at the same time, you look like you're actually answering the question when you are.
One of the reasons I love this show is because you never know where the answers are coming from. Not in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine that because G. Bush worked at DirecTV in the past, he would be able to give a great answer to that first question. But I got to tell you, man, I've never heard AIM, acknowledge, inform, and move on. But it is a great PR strategy, and you're right, that's exactly what he did. So what you're saying here is he could have a future as a call center representative for DirecTV.
He can do a lot, especially, but he should not acknowledge who he is. Actually, we give them regular names. We make up names, right?
So really?
Yeah. So it'd be close to yours. My nickname was Calvin. I don't know why Calvin. It was Calvin. Like that was.
You never should have told us that.
Yeah, Calvin. So they usually ask, "Can I have your name?" Because they want your name if something go wrong. You get cable out, you can't watch the game. Can I have your name? Yeah, it's Calvin. Can I speak to your manager? Right now, our manager is kind of held up right now, taking another call.
Sally's her name.
Yeah, Sally. Yes, but we will tell you. We can take your number down. We can email you back.
This is very professional.
Look,
yeah, they were very accommodating.
Really good.
Their service stunk, but they were very accommodating.
So what you're telling me is the next time I should call them out.
Oh yes, and you might get the Sunday ticket for free.
But he's gonna have like different variations of that answer.
Yep.
Like until camp.
Yep.
But he like with all these people just continuously coming out and the media making it whatever it is, like he's gonna have to have a defense to stand on, and it's going to be that, and they'll become frustrated. They're gonna ask him 1,000 different things, but I'm pretty sure when he goes home after practice, he has a whole legal team there, and they're rehearsing and going over the stuff. So he's always gonna land back there.
And it did come off as coach, but you expect that. Yeah. I mean, their mission is to make him come across as believable, and they're going to do whatever they can to that end. All right, now the second soundbite we're going to hear is Deshaun talking about the New York Times report that there were 66 accusers, and I think most people that listened to the whole news conference yesterday pointed to this answer as the one that was perhaps the most problematic in the way he answered. So keep that in mind while you're watching this. This is, again, Deshaun on the New York Times report.
The New York Times reported that you booked massages with 66 different women over a 17-month period. Does that number 66 seem right to you?
I mean, I can answer it. I don't think so for what me and my attorneys went through. But at the same time, that's more of a legal question that I can't really get into details about. So you'll probably have to ask my attorneys and things like that to confirm.
Okay, so again, he's going back to, I really can't answer that. That's a legal question. And by the way, I mean, that is the answer that you expect.
Yeah.
We talked about how we were surprised that the accusers gave the interview to HBO. And the reason that was surprising to a lot of people in the legal community was because now they've told their story publicly. Mm-hmm. And they've shown their hand, number one. Number two, if during cross in these civil trials, they slip up and just change one small detail, the attorney is waiting for that now. So they've actually sort of given the attorney a baseline for what that story is or what the event was as they see it. And if there's anything different, they're going to pounce on that and try to make the jury think that there's a credibility issue. So that also is why Deshaun is really avoiding getting into the weeds on any of the details. But on the 66, on one hand, you can understand how he wouldn't understand that number because there were so many, and I'm sure he probably didn't keep records of it. Yeah. But what do you make, G. Bush, of the way he answered that initially, where he said, that number doesn't seem right to me?
So they'll work with him. They'll get him back in. It's just like watching film. They'll coach him up, show him what he did wrong, where he could do better. You need to get the catchphrase. This is a really good catchphrase. I don't recall. That was, some of this. A lot of these things happened a few years ago. It's been a long time since then. I don't recall that number, but you would have to follow up with my counsel to get the exact number.
They've been digging into the phone records and whatnot.
Yeah,
okay.
So see, recall's a good number.
I mean, a little bit when he did the 66, he was like, was it 66? Like it seemed like on his face, that's kind of what he was thinking about. Like that is a lot. I think he did the right thing by taking it back to his lawyers and saying, yeah, you got to get with my legal team on that, because if he would have answered it, he probably would have said either too much or not gave an answer that the world wanted to hear. So I think he did the right thing.
Yeah, I just don't think it's the right answer. I think,
how would you? What would you recommend?
Yeah, 66. No, not that many.
But what if it ends up provably 66 though?
I like he's in a crazy situation because you kind of like stand there like, man, if I engage in talking about 66, then you're down a rabbit hole of like, why would you need 66, right? And then if I say it wasn't 66 or I begin to defend like they're liars, then it becomes something else. And I get it. They knew that he was going to mess up some during the process, but I don't know. He just, like I was talking to you before the show, he just has like a lot of like, you have public opinion and Twitter opinion and Instagram opinion. Then you have like mainstream media opinion. Then you have the facts of the case. And I just don't think, this is with all due respect to him, I just don't think he's skilled enough to sit there and navigate that. And so you have to come back to these canned answers and knowing that you're going to take some abuse. A way he could have probably just framed it as like, hey man, I travel a lot, I move around a lot, I have multiple people who give me massages, and that's not to say if it's right or wrong or one thing or another, but to me adding context around stuff to make people think like, okay, like, he's a professional athlete, he moves to 4 or 5 different states or 10 states, I don't know, and I'm not trying to make like an excuse for him or anything like that, but to me, just like once that question was posed, I was like, "There's no way to go."
Yeah, it's a lose-lose, really.
Yeah. And I like what you did right there. I like that too. People are more or less not looking for whether he's guilty or innocent. What they're looking for is humanity, right? They want to find something that you have in common with them, right? So if you give them, hey, look, my life has been a whirlwind. I moved from Texas. I moved here. This is second or third place I've been. I'm learning the playbook. I want to be accurate with you guys, but it wouldn't do a service to the allegations or to my case to give out numbers that I'm not sure about. So you have to check with my staff.
I imagine that's a provable number, one way or another. I mean, if there are receipts, there was payment that was made.
Right.
So I imagine that if you Maurice is rolling his eyes, but
okay, it's like we were talking about this before. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's why I'm laughing with you.
I mean, it's like
you crazy, yo.
Like, I'm not crazy. It's just like, was my man in the wrong somewhere? Like, yes, but like, was we all like 23, 24, and you go like do stuff you're not supposed to be doing, and you hope it doesn't get out? I think that's what you're dealing with right here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about the 66, because when Ty was on last week, we talked about that number.
Okay.
You were a highly conditioned collegiate athlete, and you did spend time in the NFL, so you saw the way this world works. The 66 number over 17 months, ironically enough, comes down to 1 a week. So
that's about right.
What was the number of massages that you were getting or that your teammates were getting during the course of the season and then during the off season? Is it 1 a week? Is it more than 1 a week?
So there's people who get massages a couple times a week. That's not abnormal. You have some masseuses who will come in groups and they'll come to the actual facility and do them there. You have some guys who will go do them at home. These are real things. So, and there's honestly, right, there's a level of a dude who's young, who's successful, who's in shape, who has a bunch of money, and he may see, hey, instead of going out to the nightclub, I may try to have sex with a masseuse. Like these are real things. Like somebody being young and but are these there's a football culture inside of the football world, then there's like a regular culture. And am I saying is it right or wrong? But when you heard this stuff, this don't sound like
it didn't sound crazy to me.
Like keeping it real, just keeping it real. It don't sound crazy to people who live in that world.
Yeah.
And if this dude gets on the table, he's into that, that's what's going on. I know that's off topic.
Actually, it's directly on topic, because what you're drilling down on is the culture of high-priced professional athletes, right? So I always tell people, if you're trying to date or casually hang out or hook up with people, the only place to do that is on dating sites. And people say, why can't you do it the old-fashioned way? Well, the old-fashioned way, there's an option for you to be like, ooh, if I run up on somebody in the grocery store and I don't see a ring or nothing, nowadays it's unacceptable for me to run up on somebody in the grocery store. You don't know if that person is married, divorced, single, got kids, don't want to be talking to people, or got PTSD. You know nothing. You're just assuming.
So you're using the dating site as a filter.
It's a filter.
To narrow it down to people that
want to date.
And him, exactly, I believe, and this is 100% guaranteed, Deshaun Watson, yes, was getting massages by these people, but he was also using that as a place to hook up with people.
Yeah,
it seems like it. Yeah, and I think that's what you were talking about earlier.
So, let's take it a step further, right? There's different classes in life and just different social activities you do. This is no different than Robert Kraft. It's all it is. It's Robert Kraft, and I'm around people who are well-to-do, and well-to-do people have stuff going on that other people don't, and they just can't be seen. They can't be in the same places, and they can't do the same stuff. And so am I saying it's right or wrong? No, but to act like this is like some obscene idea where this is like an anomaly. Anomaly.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, we get it.
I'm just saying it's that, and it's like some stuff that just happens to be in public. It's like,
right.
How do you digest this? You digest it how Robert Kraft did it, erase the tape, push the judges on them, let's suppress this and move it to the back room. Deshaun Watson isn't Robert Kraft, so he has to deal with it in public.
And G. Bush has talked about that a lot. You can't have two different systems of justice, one for the owners who have the money and one for the players who are I know they're making a lot of money, but they're still subservient to the owners.
Let me clarify this before this. Look, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with none of it. Let me clarify.
We was talking about it before the show. We ain't on no side.
Here's the thing.
We just telling it like it is.
But where you're going is an area on this show that we haven't yet gone, which is surprising to me because we've turned over every stone on this show. Mm-hmm. But I think, and I had a conversation recently with a longtime professional athlete who said I can't use his name, but all I can say he was a longtime professional athlete. We would all know his name. I asked him the question, is it outside the realm of reasonability that he would have 66 different masseuses over 66 or 70 weeks? And his direct and very quick answer was, absolutely not. When you're a race car driver, your main tool is your car. And that car is constantly being tuned up.
Yeah.
Even during the race, that machine is being tuned up. Tires are a little out. This is a little out. Tighten this, loosen that. The chassis is wrong. So it's even during the race, it's constantly, he said, my body and Deshaun's body and anybody who has relied on their body as their main tool, anybody that's been in that space understands that constantly needs adjustments.
Absolutely.
It constantly needs attention. And he scoffed at the idea that anybody would be shocked that a pro athlete would even have that many massages in that span of time.
That's what I told you the last time I was on. I was like, 66 over 17 weeks is not crazy at all.
17 months.
Or 17 months.
Right.
That's not crazy. That's actually pretty accurate to what it is. That's literally one massage a week, which in the off season, you're training, you need to take care of your body. It's so many athletes that's out there, pro athletes that's getting massages weekly. Like Maurice said, some get it twice a week.
But who do you think is hearing this information on the other side of the TV? A regular guy who goes to work, lives a normal life.
Oh yeah,
fact.
So,
yeah,
but this is the fans in the stand. Like everybody pays for a ticket, so when they hear it,
it sounds alarming. Yeah,
it does.
But then let's not take away. And then we also let's be honest with each other. A dude who 23, 24 gonna try somebody in there.
Yeah, like I said, these kids, they call it demon time.
This demon
He was
time.
on some demon time a little bit.
23,
He probably went through it once before and it happened. And he was like, man, this is all right here.
So let me give you, for you guys out there, let me just give you the translation from Black Dictionary.
Oh, excuse me.
There's a lot.
I forgot.
I know there's 65,000 that was like demon time.
I forgot.
Demon? What? That's just calling. You're being disruptive. You're being naughty. You're not following the rules.
Or you're being tempted.
Yes. That.
That's the way I look at it.
So it's not literal, right?
Yeah, not literally.
We didn't do no literal.
But naughty behavior.
But I will say this. They're right. They're using your perception against you. 66 is a large number for somebody that just goes to work. They don't know anything. The regular guy who's doing construction does not have anything going. And by the way, a lot of people don't know this out there. Brett Favre was sued by two masseuses, and they were team masseuses in Minnesota. You can check that out.
This is the thing, though, G. Bush.
It's not new.
This is a new thing. Well, it's not new. It's an app that you can actually use. It's called Soothe. And when I was with the Browns and when I was with going through my whole professional career, if I didn't use, because you only get massages certain days of the week. Like it's either on the off day or they'll do it on Friday or Saturday before the game.
It's an allotted time.
Yeah, slotted time. If you don't make the slotted time, somebody take the time, you out. Mm-hmm. So you could go home. It's an app called Soothe, and they come to you and with the massage, and there it is. So that's how and I can't tell you how many masseuses I've had, but if I've used Soothe, it's always a different person.
So put something on top of that. Then there's a level of entitlement once you become starting quarterback somewhere.
Yeah.
Sure.
For sure.
And that might be where he got in trouble here, where he felt like.
Listen to me, not Mike.
He did. Sure. His own entitlement felt like, well, why wouldn't these women want?
But it became a bigger issue once the attorneys who were suing the people who filed a civil suit, they go back to say, hey, did you ever get a massage with him? Yeah, I gave him a massage. What actually happened? You know this may be a civil case. You know you weren't supposed to do that. And so when you round people up and you go to court and it's not about if you're innocent or guilty, it's like the story I'm trying to portray. Mm-hmm. So I've been in the court system and it's not basically innocent or guilty. It's like you have 66 people, you have 66 women. They're trying to win the PR war. So I don't know if the man's guilty or if he's not. I would like to believe somebody's innocent until proven guilty, but to me, it's 1,000 dynamics, and they're hoping that they land and intimidate him and said, hey, start settling. But if you settle with one, you have to settle with 23.
Well, I'm glad you went to that point next, because our last soundbite, and we'll be quick with our discussion on this because we need to move along, but he was also asked on his likelihood of settling these cases. Listen.
Are you open to settling now? And what would it take to settle these?
Like I said, I just want to clear my name and be able to let the facts and the legal procedures continue to play out. So right now, that's all I'm doing is want to clear my name and be able to let all the facts come out in the court of law and be able to focus on that.
All right, so sort of double talk. He said the same thing twice. Mm-hmm. He wants to clear his name. That's what he's focused on. We've talked about whether or not a settlement would indeed clear his name. I think the perception is when you write the check, there's almost an admission of guilt, which is why you could see why someone that felt they were innocent would not want to do that. Do we see a settlement coming? Maurice, you haven't spoken on this because you haven't been in on days we've discussed this, but do you think that's
no? You have to fight it, because once you admit guilt and settlement to this one, that's just used against you. It comes in it's out there in the news, and every other attorney or whoever is representing these cases, they want you to settle and just say, hey, you're guilty, you've admitted it, and you're paying it that way. So to me, you have to fight them all.
Fight them all.
Fight them all to the end, and that's
it does seem like that's the strategy right now.
No, you have to.
That Rusty Hardin is completely content with letting these play themselves out in court, which won't happen until 2023. But that's where it seems we're going.
I can bet you this, after the preseason goes, and this, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, this is a hot topic because there's nothing else to talk about.
Sure. Once there's games to talk about, this is back page stuff.
And We've seen it before. I don't know if that's right or wrong, you know what I'm saying? But it just won't be a thing, or it won't be as a juicy thing. And his attorney, his team knows that, and they're going to drag it on. They're going to stick him in there every once in a while. And they say, hey, defend yourself, defend your reputation, make sure you can still play, keep the Browns happy. And then they'll get to the season, and then we'll be talking about who's playing next week and who's going to win which division, and it just won't be a thing.
Yeah. Ty?
Yeah.
Should he settle?
No, I don't think he should settle. I mean, if it's about clearing your name, because I said this from the beginning, like if somebody got this on my name for the rest of my life, I want it to be clear. If I know in my heart that I didn't do anything wrong, and if it was just what we say demon time, and it was just a masseuse and he was whatever it was, if it wasn't no sexual thing, you truly in your heart feel that you didn't do it, and you got 2 grand juries that said that you didn't criminally do anything wrong, yeah, I'm gonna fight it to the end for sure. Because that, like I say, I don't want Tyvis Powell sexual assault. Like,
right.
I don't want that
no
on
one
my
does.
name. I just want just Tyvis Powell. That's it.
So, G, you've kind of been on both sides of this issue. I can remember one time you were like, no, and then another time you're like, this just needs to go away.
Well, when you add the Texans in, I think there's a possibility. You notice he said he's going to possibly add the Texans, right? You notice he ain't filed them papers yet.
Right.
He hasn't filed the paperwork to put the Texans in on it, right? That was a signal to the NFL. Hey, we would like you to do X, Y, and Z. We're not going to put the Texans in there yet if you play ball with us. If he does decide to put the Texans in there, I think the league goes to Deshaun Watson and says, well, look, now you got one of us involved. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to negotiate. We're going to give you 4 to 6 games or whatever, but you got to settle these lawsuits. If you don't settle them, we might give you a year, right? That's right. That could be right or wrong, right? I don't think you should do that and negotiate in that. I think that's negotiating in bad faith, but I can see that happening. But I will say this, and I brought this up to somebody else. And when it comes to whether or not you're going to plea bargain to certain things, I always ask myself, you got a wife? Everybody wifed up. If Deshaun Watson allegedly did that to my wife, and she was a massage therapist, ain't no way in hell you can get. I'm not sure. I mean, I ain't never settling. I want the criminal charges.
Exactly.
I ain't going to no civil game. I want your life points.
Yes.
You got to do some time, bro. And ain't no settlement.
It's bigger than money.
It's bigger than money at that point. Right then, I would want to actually put hands on you. But guess what?
For sure.
And so for me, my thought process is, if you got people who are just joining late, like because they saw the HBO thing, if I want criminal, not civil. And no lawyer can talk me off that. Well,
what does it say to you though that there've only been a handful of women that pursued the criminal avenue, while there's 26 now that are pursuing the civil avenue?
To me, that doesn't look like something that's above board. And I understand there's a couple of people that can come along and say, well, look, hey, I might not have the same type of case to get a criminal case. But if it's my daughter, if it's my sister, if it's my wife, if it's any of the above, it could be my goddaughter. I'm pushing. I'll go get a grand jury in Texas, Houston, San Antonio, Dallas. We'll just keep going to different places till we get a conviction. Because at the end of the day, that's what you got to stand on. So I'm like that on the opposite end with Deshaun Watson. If he's saying he ain't doing it, the allegations is so serious that you got to stand on that. You just got to say, look, no, we'll wait. I got 2023 and 24 and 25. We'll just go until y'all tired.
To your point about the NFL being concerned that the Texans are added now because it's one of them, it's much more internal problem for the NFL if a team is found guilty of this. We've talked about this before. Usually before you're making these massive calculated decisions, you're deciding what's the worst case scenario. And for the NFL, in my view, the worst case scenario is they hand down a punishment to Deshaun Watson of 6 or 8 or a year, and these cases do play out in courtrooms, and he's found not guilty in all 26. That's a nightmare for the NFL.
I think the NFL should just wait it out, man. Let the whole thing play out. That way you won't get it wrong. If he's innocent, boom, we'll handle it.
And
but
G.
for
Bush
this,
has recommended
this
that
season
too.
right here, he's good.
But I think the reason that won't happen is because the Browns want to know.
Well, I mean,
what are we dealing with here?
We should tell them. They should come out and say, you know what? Until his stuff is completely done, he's good. He's free to play. We're not handing out no punishment.
Right. We're gonna wait.
We're gonna wait until because we want to make sure that we get this thing right.
And why don't they do that?
Because the public perception they want.
Jim Donovan, who's very plugged in with the Browns, and I'm not sure where he got this, but he told me yesterday on our 5 o'clock show on Channel 3 that there is the expectation is we're going to know around the 4th of July. which is the first we've heard any date that I've heard. I've heard a lot of speculation. Well, it's got to happen before training camp. It's got to happen before week 1. But Jimmy yesterday on the program told me that everybody's sort of circling right around 4th of July and perhaps before the 4th of July. So that's just a couple of weeks. We should know. I do feel that we have to read this because Tony Busby, who is the attorney for the 24 women that have already filed, 2 more now that are going to file, released this statement after hearing Deshaun talk yesterday. He said, given the volume of the credibility cases filed, the lead detective's sworn testimony, the undisputed facts, and the heartbreak pain and havoc Watson has caused, we think it would be appropriate to see Deshaun Watson express some regret or remorse in the way he treated these women. Again, that's if you're operating under the assumption that he's guilty. Yeah. And Deshaun is not operating from that stance at all. So his point is, I can't apologize for something I didn't do.
Because I already know how you're viewing it. They're saying sexual predator, rape, whatever. Like at the end of the day, like the man went in there and let me. If I can take advantage, I will. And if not, I won't. I don't think he's like some sexual predator. But that's a gray area to like the mass public.
Yeah.
He was trying to leverage his stardom.
Yes. That's totally different.
For consensual sex.
Yes.
And nobody is alleging, by the way, that there was any sex that took place out of the bounds of consensual. They're parsing words saying that he forced them to do certain things that they didn't want to do, but they're all acknowledging they did them.
This isn't this isn't just a popular conversation. Like the way he would blow everybody up is just say, hey, look, man, I was young, I was going to have these masseuses or going to have these massages, and if I had a chance to have sex, no different than a guy goes to a club, and if I meet a woman and she's attractive, we both and I get lucky.
That's what
it is. That's what it is.
Let's get another pro's idea on this. Let's get to Leroy because I want to ask him the difference. You talked about it. You specifically spoke to the difference between the way you guys and professional athletes, their world, and our world. Is there a difference in the way you protect yourself or that you go about even discussing the word sex, or what's the things that go through your mind?
Let's bring Leroy in. Leroy, you there? There he is.
Yep.
He's just chilling, man.
Look at him, chilling.
Hey, I'm gonna start this off by saying anomaly.
So you're trying to highlight that
early. He come in early.
That's what happens when you go to Michigan.
Here you go.
Maurice, you're not going to take that, are you?
Here you go.
I got my big word dictionary. It's good to go.
Yeah, I was a fan till now, right?
Hey, I am required by Michigan law to point that out.
You also required. Look, y'all haven't won in a long time, and I see they feeling themselves. Y'all won one time in the last 15 years.
What's the overall record?
That's
wow.
Hey, you're talking about a time when people got around their horse and buggy.
You really going there with
that? That doesn't count.
That's sad. You hold on to the past.
I'm gonna mention the name, and we're gonna squash this. John Cooper.
Wow.
Ooh, yeah, that hurt.
I played with Jim Tressel.
I played with Urban, so.
I'm just saying.
They said they weren't born.
I'm just saying.
What you talking about is irrelevant.
I played with Bo.
All right, how about we go Rich Rodriguez?
Yeah, Rich Rodriguez.
How about Rich Rod?
Oh, my goodness. That man had linebackers playing left guard.
He was a mess.
Come on.
He was
How
a
about
mess.
Let's go with Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
How's Harbaugh doing?
He is a
present tense.
Let's go Lloyd Carr. Yeah.
No, who was the guy after Rich Rod?
Lloyd.
Brady Hope.
Brady.
Oh,
man.
Moeller.
Listen, Lloyd.
Gary Moeller was after. No, he
Gary
took
Moeller and then Lloyd Carr.
Listen, Lloyd.
Yes.
They so bad right now. Lloyd Carr told his grandson, "You ain't going there. Go to Notre Dame. Don't even commit there. Go to Notre Dame."
Man.
Brady
I tell
Hope.
you what, collectively we can get together in a circle and hold hands and hate Notre Dame.
Well, I like Marcus Freeman, my guy. I like Marcus.
I ain't got no problem. I'm 1-0 against Notre Dame, so I ain't got no beef with it. I mean, I ain't got no beef with you either. I'm 4-0, so it's irrelevant to me.
Hey, I'm not playing that game no more.
Yeah, right.
I tried that with Brian. I tried that with Brian Hartline. That's a no-go.
Yeah.
I'm not playing the how many did you win game.
Yeah, between all of us, we've got 5 pair of gold pants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
G-Bush and I don't have any.
Yeah, I barely got regular pants. I wear cargo shorts, dog.
Hey, did you see how his demeanor changed from when he came on like a boss with the anomaly statement?
Anomaly.
And when we just dropped the 5 gold pants, he was like, all right.
Hey, I'm just chilling, man.
Hey, Leroy, good to see you again. Welcome to the program. I thought G-Bush asks a very interesting question. Go frame it again.
Yeah. So we talk about the decision, the Deshaun Watson situation, and Maurice and Tyvis is, he put us onto game and just saying basically, it's a different way that athletes go about certain things because of where they are in the position of society. As a regular guy who went to a MAC school, I didn't have to worry about none of those decisions. I wasn't getting none of the spoon-fed stuff or whatever the case may be. But what way do you go about? Are you as a former professional athlete? Do you handle those situations a little differently? Do you, in the back of your mind when you meet somebody, or whether or not you decide I'm going to ask this individual for their number, or just even regular dating in general, don't have to be straight to sex. Do you think about it differently because you just are saying, I got to protect myself. Listen, I can't put myself in that situation. Is that something that you think of? And how did you think of it in previous years when you were a little younger?
You do have to be a little bit reserved and kind of, one of the things I did is I always limited my exposure. So when I went out, I was always out with a group of guys, and then if we saw some girls or whatever, it'd be a group of girls. You know what I mean? It wasn't a one-on-one situation like that. It was like group fun. If by any chance you should exchange a number, it's always in that group setting. So nobody's put in an uncomfortable situation. But you do have to be careful. I was thinking, I said, hey man, LeBron James said he spent $1 million on his body. Like, it's important. That's what gets you the money, your body. So I don't know, if people don't think that guys are spending exorbitant amounts of money for various types of training and massages or whatever. I think where this gets a little bit confusing is that it's so many, right? But even with that big number, I could see it. Like Ty was talking about the app or whatever. They got apps for everything now. You get a different person come over, do your massage. I remember when I was in Minnesota, we used to have a couple that would do roughing. And we would drive 30 minutes to the couple, and I would get that done once a week. And then periodically I get a different type of massage that same week. So does that count as, hey man, I'm a psycho, I saw 3 masseuses in 1 week? I don't know. It's hard to understand what an athlete does to take care of his body. And because of this situation, another good point that Maurice made is this. It's the job of, who is it, Busby?
Yeah.
It's his job to make his case as strong as possible. And the only way you can do that in a civil suit is by having multiple people. So I would be interested to see, okay, there was only I don't know how many women actually tried to do a criminal case, right? But it would be interesting to me how many of these women that he contacted to be a part of this, when they had no, they weren't even thinking of it. How do we view that? We don't know. If it was only 3 women that filed criminal charges or attempted criminal charges, and then Busby got a hold of them, and then he started tracking down all the masseuses, do we think differently of this case?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the
Because
things
it's not
that
a whole bunch of people coming out. It's a whole bunch of people being contacted.
right.
We see it all the time. We
Right,
see
right.
commercials on TV. If you have been affected by talcum powder, call this number and be part of it. Am I wrong?
No,
you're right. You're
not
right.
wrong. And
Because they all trying to make their case as strong as possible. They have that right.
they do
But
have
we
that right.
also got to look at the situation and understand that it is his job to make his case as strong as possible. Also, to put Deshaun Watson in a position where he may want to just settle and get it over with.
Right. Yeah, and that certainly seems like that's what's going on here. The information that number 25 and 26 were coming forward on the day before mandatory minicamp starts, a lot of this does seem strategically timed. But to your point, that's what Busby's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to, at the end of the day, he's supposed to win money for his clients, and that's the only way he's going to get paid.
But I mean, it's two things, even a feedback to what he said. More people giving, like, so if he comes out and he gives context around how many massages you get in, Leroy as a person looks bad. It looks like you're defending this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I wish there was just a platform to, you know, I know you're not defending it, but just I wish that there was a national platform of people saying, hey, let me give context around what goes on.
That's what
I'm
we're
not
here
saying
for.
what's right.
No, that's exactly what we're trying to do.
That's what we do.
Because it is a subset of society. It's a subset of society that A, has extra money to spend on this kind of thing, and B, you know, not to say that regular laborers don't need massages too, but if given the choice and they could have 3 a week, I'm pretty sure most guys that put houses up for a living,
discretionary money,
they would be taking those massages too.
How about this? I give you a perfect example. I used to get, $200-300 a massage, get the good one, the whole body feel good after a game. Now I'm getting massages with Groupon. Like, hey, you do what you gotta do. I ain't in that place no more.
Yeah, right.
No, absolutely.
Groupon.
Absolutely. Now, all of this being said, none of this excuses the alleged behavior. I don't want to say the behavior, but and I don't want anybody that's watching this discussion to say like, oh, hold on here. These 4 men, 5 men are sitting there trying to, that's not at all what we're doing. What we're trying to do is give context.
Now you see how sticky it is to talk about it. Go, I'm sorry.
Listen, no, I do, and that's why this is such a crazy topic, because everybody has a really strong opinion on it, and I always try to throw this in every time we discuss this. There is a basket of information that we know. And then there is a plethora of information that we just don't know. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's going on. We don't know all these women's stories. We've only heard 2 of them tell their stories. So there's way more that we don't know than we know. So I always try to say this. Let's try to reserve final judgment. Everybody is sort of like, I think you said the other day, everybody sort of ran to their camp. He did it or he didn't. The truth of the matter is there are a select number of people that know exactly what happened during those massages and whether or not that crosses a line.
And I want to say this too, we got now a few professional athletes in the building, right? See, in regular life, you don't know how much the CFO makes. You don't know how much the accountant down the street makes. You don't know how much the construction guy is making or the city councilman. When you are a professional athlete,
it's Googleable.
Your name is there.
Googleable.
Right up underneath there, they say 5 years, 75 million, 30 million guaranteed. This is how much his endorsement for Pepsi is. He get disappearance fee right here. I don't know no other different type of profession that happens to. And
politicians.
Politicians. But what happens is nobody wants to be like politicians. They want to be like athletes, right? Mm-hmm. So there's this love-hate thing kind of developed, right? Mm-hmm. You get a guy that you root for, you buy his jersey, but then you, at the same time, you look at it and say, but he's making more than I'll ever make in my life. This person is making more. He'll get women that I'll never see in my life, and they don't even care about it. So what happens is when you get in trouble or there's any sort of thing, the thing that happens is there's a catch-22 in your stomach. You're like, do I really want to support this guy because I admire him a lot and what he does on the field and he's playing for my favorite team? But then there's another side as a real man that you're like, but he has this, and I'll never get that. So it's always a catch-22 because it comes off as is people being insensitive and hating a little bit. And the first thing that they'll say is, well, he makes that much money to play a kid's sport. If I was making that much money, I'd never put myself in that position. No. I'd never drink.
That cracks me up because you never. People say that, but when you get the money, you never know how you will react. It's been a lot of times where I said I would never buy. People buy. How much you pay for them shoes? You know, when I got to the league, I bought them shoes because I had the money. So it was like you never know.
But you think the other thing. The other thing that's terrible about having these conversations is we trying to have just a meaningful, just kind of work our way through the whole situation. But in today's society, every time you make a comment, it means you picking a side.
Yep.
Yes,
and true. We shouldn't have to have this conversation and have to take a 5-second break periodically to defend what we're saying. You see what I'm saying? And Jay has to periodically stop and say, this doesn't mean that we're supporting these possible wrongdoings, right? Which is, that in itself is ridiculous. Like, I don't, again, I'm one of those people that I can separate Deshaun Watson, the football player, from Deshaun Watson caught up in this stuff because I don't know just Deshaun Watson. I've never had a conversation with him. I plan on it.
I have.
But as of right now, I haven't. And so I'm not going to pass judgment on a man that I don't know.
And that goes to my point that we spent 45 minutes talking about this now, but I'll end it here because I want to get to something else. Mm-hmm. But what we don't know far exceeds what we know. And we're talking about it because it's in the news cycle and that's what we do. But I just think we wrap it up and put a bow on it by saying we don't know now for sure a lot of the things that have been alleged. We may never find out. Even if we get 26 guilty or 26 not guilty civil trials, we have seen cases where we've known innocent people have been convicted, and we've seen plenty of cases where we've seen guilty people have been set free. Mm-hmm. So it's not a perfect system. We're talking about it because it involves, the best player on our team, and that's what we do. But
Jay, the other thing is that July 4th is pretty accurate. That's usually when
are you hearing anything about that?
Yeah, same thing. That they usually come out with decisions on this around July 4th, so it gives a couple of weeks before camp starts.
Okay.
Or what have you. The thing that's hard for me to wrap my head around is the NFL doesn't determine guilt or innocence.
No, they don't.
And that is a tough world to live in.
I'll say this as we move on. So the reason why I think Jim Donovan's point is a valid one, and now yours as well. So there's something in the business, in the business of news and journalism, called a Friday news dump. And here's what that means. A Friday news dump is you throw something out into the news cycle that you know is going to get a lot of pushback, and there's going to be a lot of, and it's controversial. You release that on a Friday at 5 o'clock because we're all doing one thing at that time, racing towards our weekend. And we're not about to go home and sit down and watch news and hear people pontificate about the news story. So if you put all this together, I would say that I would be on really high alert on July 1st around 4 o'clock because the 4th of July this year is on a Monday. So the news dump, which normally buys whoever's controlling that news story a couple of days of relief before everybody comes back on Monday and starts digging into that piece of news, because it's a 3-day weekend, that buys them 72 hours. And that's Friday news dump might be what we see on July 1st. Just a guess, no information. I've seen how journalism works and how big stories are released, and you can go back and look them up. There's a whole lot of them that come out on Fridays at 5 o'clock. So we'll be on high alert for that.
Definitely.
I want to get your take on something that I know has these guys fired up, and particularly Tyvis. Pro Football Focus ranks Denzel Ward the 10th best outside corner in the NFL. All of these guys pictured in this graphic, they have rated higher than Denzel Ward at the outside corner spot. What do you say to that?
It's ridiculous. Wait, did they ask anybody he played against? Did they see any of the games he locked folks down? I would say this. I would say he's top 5. And there's a couple of guys that, are probably in the same class with him, but he's better. Like, just watch the games. And sometimes you are a beneficiary of a pass rush. And let me ask you, you remember when the Giants beat New England?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know who their front four
in their
was.
perfect
You don't know who their GBs were.
Right. Exactly what the front four was.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
Eli Manning,
exactly. My point exactly.
Hey, Ross.
It's hard. First of all, it's hard to single out a DB. Are all those guys great man-to-man guys? Or some of them zone guys?
Right.
Remember Nnamdi Asomugha?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude was great. Awesome. Then he switched teams and got the big contract.
And that was the end of that.
And they wanted him to be a lockdown corner.
They put him in zone.
He faded away into the sunset.
In a hurry.
They messed him
in a
up,
hurry.
Man.
So you have to compare apples to apples. I would say Denzel Ward, you can put him on a guy and say, lock him down for this on Sunday. Right? There's not a whole bunch of guys you can do that with. You can do it with Jalen Ramsey. There's a couple other guys on that list. But everybody else, some of those guys may be a beneficiary of
systems,
the defense. Yeah. And I even question, look, to some extent, Ramsey is.
Talk about it.
To some extent.
Talk about it, because
right.
I didn't agree about the thing.
He got the best pass rusher.
Yeah, that helps.
Not elite, the best.
Yeah.
So that means he only has to cover. He got to cover a half a second shorter.
And you know what? There's very few positions in the NFL where you can't have an argument as to who is the best. But to your point about Aaron Donald and the Rams, like that's the 5-second argument.
Yeah.
You just say his name and then everybody's like, oh, yeah, that's the mic drop. And so that does make a big difference. Tyvis, you played the position.
We talked about
how important is that guy on the edge that gets to the quarterback?
Oh, it's
faster?
Huge. It's huge. You ain't got to cover that long. I mean, the ball is going to come out. The quarterback in his mind thinks he got 3 to 4 seconds to get rid of the ball. You got a guy who just beats the guy right off the edge. Now that ball's coming out in 2 seconds. The receiver's not even out of his route. Boom, I'm standing there catching the ball.
And down and distance.
Yeah, you got the whole situation, down and distance, tell a story, the formation, tell a story. I mean, all I'm going to do, if it's 3rd and 5, and I got Aaron Donald and Von Miller, I'm going to sit at 5 yards, and I'm going to wait for you to go ahead and make your break, because I know that they're going to get there. You got to get rid of the ball.
How many picks do DBs get because it's 3rd and 5, and they can just drop back and know that at 5 yards he better throw this thing, or all hell gonna break loose in that backfield. And then you get a pick, and they say, "Hey, they read our routes." No, we not.
Yeah, I'm just sitting I'm sitting at the sticks, and I know you're gonna curl them at the sticks.
Support.
Yeah,
and
I know where all the help is. I know your tendencies.
Remember, I asked you, Ty. I came in one day. I said, "Look, I was watching NFL films, right, and they were talking about corners, right? And I always say corners are mythical creatures, right? So all I know is I play D-line. I look around, the corner's way over there to 55 yards on the sideline. They don't even need to get in the huddle. They don't. They just be over there. I don't know what they be doing. They're mythical. But I was watching these cats, and I was sitting there watching Jalen Ramsey, and I'm like, Jalen Ramsey's getting touched a lot. They catching a lot of footballs in front of him. And I went to Ty and said, look, Jalen Ramsey was talking about, who's the kid from Dallas who got all them interceptions? Trayvon Diggs. They said, what's the difference between you and Trayvon Diggs? Trayvon Diggs had like 10 picks. And I had to ask him, I said, what is playing in phase, out of phase mean? Because he kept saying, man, I play out of phase a lot. I play out of phase a lot. And Ty was like, I was like, it seems like playing out of phase ain't supposed to be something you're supposed to be doing. Like, you ain't like, that's like saying I get washed a lot as a D lineman. I get down blocked a lot. No, bro, that's not a thing. You shouldn't be good. You shouldn't be entrapped, cuz. So my thing was, is it the name brand recognition for the DBs? Because it seemed like you get a name Revis or you get Ramsey and you that guy for 5 to 10 years, and it don't matter kind of what you do. It's kind
unless
of
you're Deion Sanders.
But you light up a bunch of interceptions. That like so when these guys when you go on a series, just like Trayvon Diggs, right, or kid down the Cowboy kid, you get a bunch of interceptions. Now your stock has went up, and then now you become the guy. But systems make defensive players. Like that's just what it is. And whatever system you're in, whoever you got up front, it makes a difference on how he covers. And if you halfway watch film, if you halfway know tendencies, if you halfway know the person across from you, you pretty much know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And you can have I don't know, I don't want to call names, but you can have you know how you can. There's like outside linebackers who benefit from having like dog linebackers on the other side, where a guy runs free and he makes a bunch of tackles and he has no responsibility, where another guy may be setting the edge or wrong arm and stuff, or you may be the backside defensive end and they're getting doubled on the front side, so you have a one-on-one situation. There's so much of that stuff. I think the Denzel Ward piece, I mean, I've been a Brown fan since Leroy Hoard, Eric Metcalf, Bernie Coles. I've been the Brown for that long. The brand of the Browns is down. You know what I'm saying? It's just a bad brand.
So you're saying because he's on the Browns.
I'm telling you, that's
that
a
perception
large
is
part. Yes, I've been a Browns fan my whole life.
Even Nick Chubb doesn't get the respect that we think he deserves. Nick Chubb gets disrespected.
I think he's a top 3 running back in the league. I think he's the best personally.
Well, Joe got some credit when he was playing. People respected Joe.
Yeah, because it was a lineman, so they gave it to him.
No, I'm talking about Joe Hayden.
I thought you were talking about Joe Thomas. Okay,
Joe Thomas, hands down. Joe Hayden got a lot of love from the.
But I'm talking about just from. Go ahead, Leroy.
But that's just it. You look at Denzel Ward and look at how successful the defense is, right? He should be getting more credit just because of the defense that he played on. Now, he does benefit to some extent from, having that pass rush or having those guys up front. But let me ask you a question. You ever watch a Browns game and Denzel Ward is never close to somebody?
See, and that's what I
always.
That's
if
what
you
I'm
catch
saying.
A ball on him,
you gotta earn it. He make receivers earn their catches, and that's what I'm saying. He does an amazing job of playing the hands. It's never been like a time where I've seen Denzel just completely be burnt and no, he's not there. Like he's always there to make the play. That's why to me he's top 5. I sat back, man. I even had them come up with a graphic about comparing him to Jalen Ramsey. I think Jalen Ramsey's completion percentage last year was like 63%. Denzel's was 61%. Jalen Ramsey had, I think, 4 picks. Denzel had 3. But you'll tell me that Jalen Ramsey's the best corner in the league when I could go pull up tape and let you see in Week 17 in a gotta-have-it, must-win game, he went out there against the San Francisco 49ers and made the tactical error I've ever seen. In under a minute, he's up there trying to jump a flat route when you need to be playing back. Then you say, okay, that's just one game. You take it a step further, we take it to Tom Brady in there. In a game where they're coming back, you up, and they got to have it. Tom Brady, the game's pretty much over. Tom Brady says, you know what? Let me just throw up the ball. On Jalen Ramsey, who's supposed to be the best corner in the league, you're going to just throw it up a fade ball, and boom, you're going to get it. Well, then on top of that, we take it to the Super Bowl. He got beat in the Super Bowl. No, I'm sick. And I ain't got no shade. Like, Jalen Ramsey's a great player, but it's like, dude, he makes a lot of mistakes. And for some odd reason, y'all just completely ignore that the signs that he do certain things.
I'm going to give you another piece of information you're missing. Jalen Ramsey markets himself as the best corner.
True.
So just like you have a song on the radio that you don't like
that's
and you
great
always
point.
hear it, like when you start calling yourself the best, when you talk about being the best, and when you happen to be on the winning team, the public markets you that way. Why do you think Richard Sherman markets himself?
Well, hold on now. Sherman, my boy, and Sherman was locking stuff down. Sherman actually locked people down.
No, but I think Denzel's point is that at that position, much like wide receiver, Denzel doesn't say anything.
No, he doesn't.
And so he fades in the background, unlike the people's champ who wears the belt every day. If you say it long enough,
let him know that this is what I'm doing.
No, get it on that belt.
It's not Winnie the Pooh, it's a panda. It's his logo. It's straight up his logo.
You're the heavyweight champ of snacks.
But it's like,
Look at his shirt. Look at his shirt. So you know what? He's basically Jalen Ramsey. He's out here screaming, I got my logo, I got my belt, I'm the people's champ. If you say it long enough.
I don't make the most money, though.
You get paid for this?
Hey, it's an internship. They told me 2 weeks I'm going to get my that first check.
Wait, you're getting paid?
Yeah, right.
Hey,
you know,
Leroy,
graduated the payroll.
We got to go because it's the top of the hour. Joe Jurevicious is coming up. I want to say this. My favorite part of the segment was listening to you defend a Buckeye, Denzel Ward, for 15 minutes.
Oh, no.
That was unedited.
Go Bucks.
Wait.
Yeah.
Rule number one. Rule number one. Once you become a Cleveland Brown, you're a Cleveland Brown.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
And that's why I like you.
He made the rule up.
He definitely did.
Hey, Leroy, always good, my man. Always good. We'll see you next week. The great Leroy Hoard. He's right on that, too, because every time the Browns drafted a Michigan player, the first thing I said was, damn, now I gotta like him. I don't want to like him.
That's a fact, though.
And it goes all the way back to Leroy Hoard. All right, we're going to take a break. I've been looking forward to this next segment since I found out that Bro Jurevicious did a 20-minute radio interview as Joe Jurevicious. The one and only, the real thing, Joe Jurevicious is in studio.
We got him in
and
here.
he joins the panel when we come back from this quick break. Stay with us.
Hey Cleveland, it's Adam the Bull. And if you love sports as much as I do, then you've got to be watching the new Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. But if you don't have 2 hours to watch it live or on YouTube, well, there's a podcast version, so you're in luck. Listen to it anytime, anywhere. We're doing things on this show that no one else is doing. We're getting crazy. Find out for yourself. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts.
What matters most to me is family. Sometimes you don't realize how important it is until you're away from them.
What matters most to Jay? His family. He is a big family man. What matters most to me? My family, my safety, your safety.
I think the thing that most impresses me about Betsy is her versatility. Give her any assignment that involves going in front of a television camera, and she's going to knock it out of the park.
What's new with Betsy and Jay? Weekdays at 5 on 3. Recognize that feeling? It is the feeling of being together, enjoying the company of a familiar face, and sharing moments that matter to you, to me, to us. What matters to some could impact all of us, especially in a place like Northeast Ohio. Here, stories are shared from east to west to south. Stories of perseverance, of family, of love. If a story brings us together, it's what matters most.
Hi, my name is Jay Crawford. I am a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. I have carried my fandom every city I've ever lived in. People have always asked me, why are you so diehard about Cleveland? It's because I'm from here. And we know how much our teams mean to us. Most of us know that because of our parents. In my case, my father was just a huge Cleveland sports fan. It was really part of our life. It was woven into everything we did. And it was our connection throughout his life.
Peyton Hillis was the next one.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Joe Jurevicious has taken the king's chair in the middle. First of all, for those of you that don't know, I don't know where you've been living, but Joe played in 3 Super Bowls, won 1 with the Buccaneers. He's a Cleveland guy from Lake Catholic? Lake Catholic High School, and then later played for the Cleveland Browns. We're going to get into all of that in just a minute, but when we first found out that we were going to be doing this show, we reached out to the guys with Cleveland ties, and your name was one of the first one that came up. We've got to get Joe in studio. Then we found out that a couple of years ago, a Kansas City radio station had called 92.3, where G. Bush works, and said, hey, we'd like to have someone on to talk about the game. And somehow there was a miscommunication. They either thought they had specifically asked for your number, but they thought they were getting Joe Jurevicious, but they really got Garrett Bush, who was a weekend radio host, had played football in college, but never played in the NFL. So if you're hearing this for the first time, the setup to this is Garrett Bush goes on the radio station. The hosts think they're talking to Joe Jurevicious. but they're not. And my man carried out the ruse for about 15 minutes, and they never figured it out. Here's the only clip of the interview that we have. If we had the whole thing, trust me, we would play it. But let's jump off with this sound clip. Watch.
We know the Cleveland Browns got over the hump. It's been a long, long time since they had a playoff win. And someone who spent time in Cleveland, not only, of course, grew up in the area, but played for the Cleveland Browns and was able to win a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Prior to that, he is former Browns wide receiver Bro Jurevicious, kind enough to give us some time. Joe, great to have you on the show. Just what was your reaction, though, as you're watching that game on Sunday, knowing the long, long years, obviously, of suffering Browns fans?
It was just a great opportunity to just watch the Browns really, get over the hump a little bit there, When you go back and you look at, what the Browns have gone through over the long period of time, just being, a person in this area, growing up in Northeast Ohio and looking at what, the Browns, look what the Browns have gone through from, the Biner fumble to, going through what they've gone through over that time period with Elway and some of the things that,
putting on his white voice.
John Elway and
trying real hard.
put him through and not being able to get over the hump and the team leaving. It was a relief just to be able to, put some of those things to the side. And not only be able to do that, but to be able to do that against the Pittsburgh Steelers and Big Ben Roethlisberger, who has been a thorn in the side of the Cleveland Browns. I would say pretty much since the team coming back in 1999 was just such a relief and something that was just such a great sight to see for the organization, the fans, and so many other different other players as well.
Joe, how did he do?
I think what's funny is, listen, throughout my entire career, I could probably think of 2 times in the 11 years I was involved in the NFL. College at Penn State, maybe 1 or 2 times, but I was typically the only white guy in the entire locker room, the entire receiver room.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now to have this whole thing come full circle, and what's awesome about this is, I wasn't very savvy with social media and stuff, but my daughters are blowing my phone up and they're in school. Dad, you're trending. I'm like, what the hell does trending mean? I don't even know what that means. And they're like, you did a radio interview in Kansas City. I'm like, no, I didn't. I really do. And so this whole thing, so my phone starts blowing up with friends and family, listen to sports radio, and here's Joe.
Yo, and people, I swear to goodness, man. So people say, well, why'd you do that? And I said, well, first of all, when they called me, I'm like, wow, I done made it. They didn't call me from Kansas City. I'm ready to go. I called my mom. I'm going to be over here on Kansas City radio. Y'all don't even know. So I'm like, they called me up. They like, be ready 5-10 minutes early. They called me up. And they never said, usually when they call you, they confirm like, hey, Garrett, this is so-and-so from what's the name? You'll be talking to so-and-so, and we're going to have you on in a second. Today, they didn't confirm. So I'm like, oh, man, they must already know. Everybody know who I am. So they was just like, he gets through his intro, and then all of a sudden he says, we got Super Bowl winning receiver Bro Jurevicious. And I'm just sitting there, and in my mind I'm thinking, there's 1 or 2 ways out of this thing. I could either tell them you got the wrong dude, and they're going to say, wow. And then the producer, whoever signed me or find my number, is going to be looking crazy because not only am I not white, not only am I too fat to be a receiver, check. And I ain't even that hot. I would do 1 weekend a week. I do 1 day a week. They like, you couldn't even get a regular on? You could at least faked it with the regular. You got the weekend dude. So I just said, well, you know what? I don't want to cause no troubles. I'm going to just do the interview, bro. So I just dug in my bag and was like, you got to sell it. You ever be a stand-up comedian?
It's the oh my goodness before you start talking.
Because he heard that a little bit like, oh.
I like his cover on, growing up in Northeast. Pretty big area.
That could be Youngstown.
Joe, my favorite was he was asked later in the interview, like, what was the reaction to your teammates when you won? And you gave the story about the tarmac.
Oh yes,
Repeat that.
I say, it's once in a lifetime opportunity. You work your whole life to get to that point. And I tell my teammates, we had a meeting before, before we left for the stadium. I said, listen, when you get here, you soak that in. You never know. You never know when you're going to get an opportunity to be back here. And when you get off the plane, off that tarmac.
That's real, though.
It just
Pretty
hits
cliche,
you.
right?
It hits you, man.
He's been listening.
That's kind of like
He done quoted his favorite football movie.
Exactly.
I was like, man, this year I'm not playing that. The only tarmac we got off at OU, we got off at Iowa State one time, and we got blew out. I'm like,
it wasn't the same speech.
No, it wasn't the same speech. It wasn't the same accommodations. We didn't have the same lunch. We didn't have the same hotel. But he was. I'm shout out to Joe because he was a good sport. Like a lot of times, people could have came on and be like, "Who the hell is this guy?" I think he came on our radio station after that. He was with Dustin and Adam the Bull,
right.
And they talked about it. He was a good sport about it. I wasn't clout chasing or nothing, man. Some people would be doing stuff and you'd be like, "Hey, I'm gonna just do this to get on." I was like, man, I was honestly looking out for the people to say I just wanted to be awkward. So I finished the interview, and then somebody gave me the name Bro Jurevicious, and it kind of like it stuck for like.
It's a great nickname.
Yeah. Put it on
So
the
later
shirt.
in the show, we're going to play Bro versus Joe. So each of the guys have given us a handful of tidbits about their lives that very few people know, and McNuggets will read them, and then the panel here, Maurice, Ty, and myself, will try to guess if that's Joe or if that's Bro. So I can't wait for that.
Who, by the way?
Yeah, see, we
I know
like
you
it.
guys
Right,
do look a lot alike. The glasses game is very similar.
Right? We got the same.
But after that,
now Joe is in way better shape. And by the way, I always wanted to know this. Joe is a big dude.
Oh yeah,
like he got the he said he was the first red zone target like that, right? He was like he about 6'4" in real life. I'm like, dang, Joe kind of big, dog. He can run the fade route.
No, he definitely had a presence. I guess we want to start with the college stuff before we get to the NFL. How the hell did you get away to Penn State?
That's what I want to know.
Well,
So
I mean, you got two
it's
Buckeyes
actually
to your
interesting
right.
with two Buckeyes sitting next to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So at the time, Coach Cooper was under all that scrutiny. People were throwing stuff at him, hot dogs, Coke, you name it, they were doing it. So again, I wasn't very sure that he was going to be there.
Really?
So I think all of us, there's a little bit of comfort knowing who your coach is as you kind of walk in and into your first day as a freshman. So for me, Coach Cooper was just under all that scrutiny. People were talking about him. It was throughout all Northeast Ohio media that he might not be there, he might be there. And then lo and behold, Coach Cooper was there for my entire time in college. But that was one of the big reasons. And then 4 years later, I was at the Hula Bowl, and Coach Cooper was my head coach at the Hula Bowl when they used to have the Hula Bowl in Hawaii.
But around that time, Joe Paterno was still.
He was up on his pedestal, and it's kind of funny. Like with the benefit of hindsight, I probably would have done things a little bit different. Like I love Penn State; it helped me. I would never be foolish enough to say that it hurt me.
Sure.
I just probably would have looked a little bit different.
Did you grow up a Buckeye fan?
I followed Ohio State. I followed Michigan. I followed them all. Notre Dame, going to a Catholic school.
Yeah.
It was always Notre Dame. Growing up in a Catholic family, so there's all that stuff. But Coach Cooper, 4 years later at that Hula Bowl, I love the guy. And there was a part of me that was like, man,
wow,
it's kind of
stay home.
Yeah, maybe that would have been a thought, but again, that was the big reason that I didn't.
Were you committed to Ohio State and then went to?
No,
Penn State?
I wasn't committed. I was just kind of going through the process. We talked about before we got on air here. We talked about Allstott. My high school quarterback, Rick Trevsger, was Mike Allstott's quarterback, coincidentally, at Purdue.
Wow.
So there was I went to visit Purdue knowing I probably wasn't going to go to Purdue. I went to Michigan. And I knew at the time there was just so much, there's a lot of pressure on it, right? And I knew that I wasn't going to go to certain schools, but then there's some times that I wished, maybe I looked down south. Maybe I looked out west, like Arizona State, and just did something completely different. But I could tell you, Penn State's a great school. It helped me get to where I am today.
Sure.
And the number one reason, in all honesty, that Ohio State wasn't looked at is just because Coach Cooper was under a lot of scrutiny.
There was a lot. I remember, every year he'd go undefeated, and then he'd go into that Michigan game.
No, don't talk about it.
I know. Listen, I've got the
about
scars from it too. It was very difficult to watch it. I can understand how, because that's very important. You guys made that decision, and when you're in that spot, you want stability. You want to make sure that that guy's going to be there for your 4 years.
I think if you look at what's going on here in Cleveland, right, from my time here, I've never seen more change. I mean, there's change every year, whether it was an offensive coordinator, whether it was a head coach. So quarterbacks never have a time to kind of get acclimated to a system, because usually 6 months or a year later somebody's moving. So change isn't always good, but here in Cleveland it's been a little bit detrimental. But listen, I think overall I'm I love the game of football. I miss it. I was looking at Leroy on television here, and all of us are in pretty good shape. Like everybody, most football players you run into, we're talking about my size, but I'm around all these former players, man. I think most of these guys stay in pretty good shape, and I'd love to get back after it, but I'm only good for one smoke out, one step, and then I'm falling down. You give me a 3rd and 1, I'll bet you I can help you out. I'll catch it. I just don't know if I can run fast.
Let me ask you this question. When you're dealing, when I talk to Tyvis all the time, and Maurice was on earlier this year, when you're done with the game, right? It was hard for me as a college player to just say, this is it. I'm done. Did you have a difficult transition away from the game, and what did you find that you kind of took your time and really got into as something that was a passion? Football doesn't ever really leave you; it just leaves the fact that your body can't do it anymore. But what was it difficult for you to transition, and what have you got into now that kind of took that place?
Yeah, well, I think this is actually going to kind of go to what Maurice is doing right now. I will tell you that mental depression is a real thing. I think the head injuries, going from being not necessarily on a pedestal, but from having that kind of high stakes lifestyle to where you're playing football every week, every weekend, right? You're staying in shape during the off season. Every day you're competing against somebody to stay on top, to keep your position, to not have them draft somebody high. That stuff was a reality for me. So I remember for 2 years after I battled depression pretty bad. I battled it to the point where I one time went on a high school football field and I started crying.
Wow.
I could not step on anything green.
Really?
Yeah, it messed with me. So
how did you get over that?
Well, that year, for those 2 years, I have a buddy, my best friend from football is a guy named John Howell. He was a backup safety to John Lynch in Tampa. And John's a rancher. He's a rancher in Nebraska. And 45,000-acre ranch, and I went out there and I played cowboy for a couple years. I would fly back on the weekend to be with my daughters, and then knew that ranching wasn't going to be my livelihood.
Well, it's therapeutic.
Yeah, but it was therapeutic, and again, you're trying to find all these outlets. So anybody that knows me, I love hunting, I love fishing, I love my kids, my wife. So I just tried to kind of find something to do back home. I got into laundromats. Now it's blown up into this commercial laundry business.
I've heard that.
The Clean Group. So, we're doing Rocco Whalen's restaurants, and we're doing bars and the Aloft hotels, and we're doing all these big things here. And I bought a warehouse on 55th, right down the road from here. So I just kind of got into this learning business to keep myself occupied. But I will
Is that everyday purpose?
Yeah.
Is that what you think pulled you out of your depression?
I think sometimes it puts me back into depression. but what I would just tell you is I think it's important that you talk about it, right? That depression, it's dangerous to find yourself in bed, all the things, all the bad things. I'd be a hypocrite to say that there wasn't a lot of things that professional athletes have. I was trying to find pills, and I was trying to do all these things that just kind of sleep throughout the day, because I couldn't sleep at night. So I would just be up and I'd be tossing and turning, and these bad thoughts creep through your head.
Wow. I think, but he did say something. There was a couple things you said that I can identify with. Just staying engaged in something that's like a high level of engagement, getting ready for a game, getting ready for practice, or he's about to take my job. Just always being on and not being a driver, right? And I think a lot of times when you transition from the game, you say, okay, where does this skill set apply elsewhere, and how can I create this environment?
Yes.
And most people aren't wired to want to be engaged or want to be serious or want to be chasing something, you know what I mean? And I think just always having something on the board. So, excuse me, you may have found it with business where I got a team, I got targets, I got things I'm trying to accomplish, And it's not necessarily for the money, but just for the engagement of it, or the pursuit of it, or just to put yourself in something.
You kind of turn your business into a football mentality.
Yeah, it's literally
because that's what you know.
Yeah, I mean, to think about it, like it helped me in my career in football. Like I was successful when I was on. So how can I take this same mentality and apply it to something outside of football?
Sure.
Because if it helped me be successful in football, then if I take that same mentality and apply it to elsewhere, I should be as good. That's kind of the way. But that's the way I thought about it.
But the depression bridge is from.
Oh yeah, I ain't talking about the depression.
No. You don't know where it's like. You don't know how to go from here to this next phase, and then just like the little gray area in between becomes a depression because you're like, damn, what do I do? He's not going to a locker room anymore.
Yeah.
He's not going to a team meeting anymore. He's not, even though he's Bro Jurevicious and there's a reverence for him, like I have to bridge that new thing and then I have to start from here
to get to what's next.
To get to what's next, and so that's tough, and then. You have in a professional world, you have a lot of things that hold you to make you who you are, and now you have to do all these things yourself, and you have to develop all these skills and develop this different mentality and develop the team. So I don't know.
And I think kind of to his point is like you don't want to fail as an athlete. So for me to get into business, I started hiring business coaches. I started hiring a former CFO of a company to start learning numbers, which was my downfall in school, right?
Sure.
So now here I am dealing with numbers, and I'm putting myself in an uncomfortable situation. And with my kids, my daughters, I always tell them, I need you guys to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because people that flourish, right, athletes that flourish, man, you're always uncomfortable. It's hot outside, it's cold outside. My body doesn't feel right, but I need to kind of make this play right here. My team needs me to step up, need to win this game. So, I have sports to fall back on, but it took me a few years. Doctors and psychiatrists.
It's interesting. You just like Maurice, you went to what you knew in your life, and you said, I need coaches. Your whole life you had a position coach, you had a head coach, you had a coordinator. And so I find it fascinating that to find that same success or even personal happiness, you created a structure around you that had been around you in all your early years when you had success as an athlete.
Yeah, there's zero question. So I think all of us do better with coaching. I don't think there's one guy up here that couldn't go on a pro football field or a college coaching facility and coach guys, right? We know the game well enough, but for me, I did not know business. I knew nothing about it. And to go into grabbing some of the accounts like Rocco's Place and Aloft Hotels, Joey Longo's places, to go throughout Cleveland, Ohio with my best friend from high school, and to be able to kind of build this thing to where we are right now is almost in a way more meaningful to me than what I did professionally.
Because you had to work harder at it?
Yeah.
Didn't come natural?
It was brutal. I mean, I remember one time one of my laundromats I opened up on Lorraine Avenue, I was working on a machine. And so I've got the front panel off, I'm underneath working on a pipe, and I hear a lady ask the attendant over there, did he lose all his money? And I'm like, damn, just because I'm working on a machine, I lost all my money. I'm just trying to learn my business. But, so it's funny. It's taken all different shapes and forms, but I got purpose every day. I'm a volleyball dad now. My daughter's going to the University of Nebraska to play volleyball.
Congratulations.
That's a big one. So my youngest, we're writing that story right now. I bought a push-pull sled. Yesterday I had their asses pulling it up the driveway and down the driveway. No free lunches in the house.
I love that. I love that.
Now this is, so you doing all these different things, and you guys can definitely chime in on this too. The fact that, do you find that you watch the game differently, right? Like when you're done, I mean, you watch it from the standpoint of watching films and what you got to do, and then when you're done and you're finished. How long was it a time period? Because some people have told me it was a time before they could actually watch the game on TV because they couldn't watch it. They just wanted to be away, and then they eventually came back. Do you see the game differently? Do you enjoy it the same way on TV?
Oh, for me personally, probably when I got kicked out of college, it was hard for me then. Like what he went through, probably whenever you got done playing with 33, 34, I don't know.
It was 34.
34. I went through that at 19, so I can vividly remember that depression. But I can see it as entertainment now, just because you understand life, and I don't know, he's a little bit younger than me, but it's just like entertaining, and it's just entertainment to me. There's no.
You don't dig too deep into it.
No,
you
just to me.
Do you watch the game, Joe?
I do. So it's funny because that question is like, am I a Browns fan? Yeah, I want the Browns to win because I'm a Clevelander. I was born and raised. The reason I played football was because of guys like Webster Slaughter and Reggie Langhorne and Brian Brennan and right, you know, watching all these guys play and the Cardiac Kids and being inside my garage as a kid having a tailgate party, eating dog bones and spray painting my white shoes with my hair orange. Like, there's all these things that come with it. But right now, if I'm answering honestly, I don't care if the Browns win or lose. I want them to win. But if they don't win on Sunday, I can't let it affect my day. Like my 58-year-old buddy.
It took 40 years to get to that space.
Yeah, like I got a buddy that'll call me every Monday morning complaining. I'm like, Doug, don't let this bother you.
They don't hit you like that.
Joe, your career was so fascinating to me because you go to a Super Bowl with the Giants.
Yeah.
You win a Super Bowl with the Bucks.
Yep.
You go to another Super Bowl with Seattle. So I remember having conversations with friends that I had in Tampa that grew up like me, a huge Cleveland fan.
Right.
And by then I had already moved to New York, but I followed the Bucks and I had a group of friends in Tampa that were from Cleveland too that knew your career well. And I remember when you became a Cleveland Brown, I called a bunch of them and I'm like, he's the missing link. We're going to the Super Bowl. Everywhere this guy has played, he's gone to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
and then the Browns happened. And
I'm going to make you guys
ruined you.
I'm going to make this. I'm going to make you guys laugh. So when I was in New York, we lost in Super Bowl 35 to Trent Dilfer was the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Dilfer was released, went over to Tampa.
Yep. He came back to Tampa to win the Super Bowl.
So I went from New York over to Tampa. The Buccaneers release Dilfer, right? Play my 3 years in Tampa. I get released. Dilfer's now in Seattle. I go from Tampa to Seattle. We go to the Super Bowl. Dilfer comes to Cleveland
That's a spiritual
from
brother.
Seattle. Right? I signed a 1-year deal on purpose. Seattle tried to sign me to a 4-year deal after, and I wanted to come home and play in my childhood home. Right? I wanted to play in front of my family one time. So, honest to God, I walk into the facility for our first off-season workout, and Trent Dilfer is sitting there. I could tell you what elliptical he's on, and he looks at me and he goes, "That bleep ain't happening here." So that's a true story. So I see Trent out once in a while with his daughter through the volleyball circuit, but he's done a really good job of what he's done. But it's a true story, man, and like it just makes me laugh. So there's all these things.
He called it.
Yeah, he called it.
Well, that one wasn't hard to call, but gosh, I remember it wasn't long after you came that the staph infection happened, and I mean, that was like.
LaCharles came home, and LaCharles, he's a guy to watch. Like to me, like
I just talked to him last week. Now
he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like you look at that
Out of
guy.
Arizona.
You talk about a guy that's well put together.
Yeah,
like you look at him, and he's reached out to me. I reached out to LaCharles during kind of our deal, but throughout the years, LaCharles and I, and again, like here's a kid that was from St. Ignatius High School, one of the baddest men on the entire planet.
Hey,
looks like it too.
And you're not exaggerating.
No, he's
nasty, man. Look, I had a conversation with him last week. We'll have offline.
Yeah.
I said, Charles, I love you for this.
So it's just kind of funny. So, I came home for the right reasons, and I still never forget. Like there were so many good things to be a captain of your hometown football team and go 10-6, and we should have been in the playoffs that year. We were close. Like there's some things that really sit with me, and like it feels great. But I remember driving right by the Muni parking lot, and I remember seeing. I used to always go home from the hotel. Here's a little kind of crazy thing, but I used to leave the hotel at home games. I would go home and go in my garden. I'd pick my tomatoes, water my flowers to calm down.
Right.
And as soon as I took my shower, it was AC/DC, Metallica,
Game
Jay-Z,
mode.
you name it. Like I did it.
Yeah.
I did it. It was a complete opposite. So I just kind of went down and then I went up. But I remember the very first game, my family never talked to me in the car if they drove with me. I just would drive with my knees and visualize catching footballs from the house all the way to the stadium. And I remember driving by the Muni lot and I saw a bunch of people wearing my 84 jersey. And I remember crying. Because again, it's hard to say, you're from Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like that was Cleveland. That's the reason I played football as a kid, and then to drive by and see it there. But
that's awesome.
There were plenty of great things. And again, I want the Browns to win, and going back to that earlier question, like it doesn't affect me on Monday, but I want these guys to win because I don't know if there's a more passionate fan base that honestly deserves to win.
Even when he's saying that, like I was with the Raiders this past week, and I was talking to Josh McDaniels. And I said the stuff that means everything is you can't buy that. I don't care how much money you got, whatever. It's just certain experiences that you get through sport, through football, basketball, whatever. That's what depresses you. Like you don't have the ability to go pursue that no more. You don't have the ability to fight somebody and win something. And so that stuff is like, even as he said, I'm visualizing stuff that I've done that's probably a little quirky, but has been meaningful, but same deal.
Like your routine, the routine of what you eat. McNuggets, you got something, man.
It's time.
It is time.
People are asking.
But before we do Bro versus Joe, I just want to say I had goosebumps when Joe was telling that story.
That 84,
driving by the
and seeing somebody with your
that's a scene in a movie.
No,
it really is. That's a scene in a movie.
Like it got me.
Real.
Like, that was real. I mean, it really was.
And I think it's important to all the crazies that assemble every Sunday in the Muni lot to hear that story.
That's crazy.
Because to know that they meant as much to you as you meant to them. That's what makes this whole thing work.
That was a top 3 memory for me in my career, and it wasn't even a playing thing. It was driving by.
But it symbolized everything you did worked.
Yeah, it made it come full circle.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, I can't wait. Bro or Joe?
Bro or Joe? This is maybe the most anticipated segment we've done so far.
Of all time.
The music.
I'm gonna cry.
Oh man.
And let's get this. Here's how
Bro will cry.
I'm gonna present you a fact. Jay, Tyvis, Maurice, you're gonna have to guess.
All right.
Is it Bro or Joe? So without further ado, Steve, let's get fun fact number 1. I'm a huge space documentary buff. So much so, I have a tattoo of Saturn. Is that Bro Jurevicious or Joe Jurevicious?
That's absolutely Joe. That's absolutely Joe.
I'm gonna say Bro.
I'm gonna say Bro too.
Survey says
it's got to be Joe.
It is.
Yes, sir.
So you guys know him the least. We spend 2 hours in the gym every day together right next door. And you ain't never said anything about that.
There it is.
Yes, sir.
It's just Saturn.
All these conversations we've had in the gym, and you've never once said anything about that.
That means we're interesting. We had a lot of other stuff to talk about, right?
No, we turned up a lot of stones. I thought I was going to go undefeated. Joe, I literally was like, I was driving to work today, and I thought, I'm going to get them all right. I know Bro Jurevicious.
I know him.
I guess I don't.
Not well enough.
Yeah, let me see.
Are you a space buff? Or I think that stuff for geeks. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
That's why my wife and my daughters fall into that. I'm like, oh, man, like a geek.
I know. I just don't get it. And if you don't get it, you don't get it.
I'll be fooling y'all out here. I tell y'all, bro.
And that's just the first one, guys. We have a couple.
Okay.
Man.
I'm on one.
Number 2, Steve. I took a ballroom dance class and was asked to compete not long after. Is that Bro Jurevicious
That's Joe.
or Joe?
That's 1,000% Joe.
I'm going Joe
I'm going for the
too.
That is
footwork.
I'm going for
1,000%
Joe. Joe for sure.
They seem confident. Are they right, though? Steve? Yes, they are.
Yes.
So I ain't giving you any credit for dance skills.
I took ballroom dancing, right? So one thing that I think I can do is, after spending all the time with my buddies throughout the receiver room, I love dancing. I like laughter. I like having a good time. But the that's it, no more ballroom dancing is when it came to glitter clothing and pointed shoes.
Yeah. You got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, I ain't going out there in those
I'll do a lot of stuff, but that ain't one of them.
He has sequence boy shorts on.
All right, so 1-1 for me, 2-0 for the guys over here.
Here we go.
All right, Bro
This
or
next
Joe?
one is my favorite because they both sent me food-related fun facts.
man.
So I chose one.
Okay.
Steve?
Oh, man.
I once set a driveway on fire deep frying a turkey.
I'm
Bro
going to say
Jurevicious or Joe?
I'm going to say Joe.
I'm going Bro all the way on
Bro.
that.
You put the frozen turkey in there. That's what you did.
Yep.
That boy.
Survey says.
Yes!
Here's the one of my best friends is a defensive coach for the Colorado Avalanche who played tonight versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. So anyway, Nolan and I get this idea we're going to deep fry our turkey, come over to my house. Like an idiot, we brine it in water overnight. Oil, water don't mix. Next thing you know, it starts bubbling and then shooting stuff all over the place. And my driveway's on fire. So, true story. I learned my lesson.
Bro, I had that so you. I had that as you.
But listen, I done fried a few turkeys. My uncle, shout out to my Uncle Ted. He showed me how to deep fry these turkeys, and boy, I tell you what, if you do it right.
Uncle Ted?
Yeah, Uncle Ted. With the peanut oil.
Wait a minute.
When we going to Uncle Ted's?
Is he wearing the Air Monarch shoes?
No, he's not. Dang. He don't got those on, but he do have the New Balances.
Okay.
He got the Walmart.
Okay.
The old man New Balance?
The shoes matter.
The huge, you know they like.
Bull shoes.
Yes.
That's what he wears.
Yeah. Anytime you can order your shoes in wide.
Extra wide.
Yeah, you gotta wear 14 wides.
They're as wide as they are long.
Yeah.
They're like blocks.
Yeah.
Bull comes in here. He says that's the only pair of shoes he owns.
Yeah.
Barney Rubbles.
Oh man, I'm 1-2.
Yeah.
I'm 2-1.
2-1, but Ty's leading the group at 3-0.
3-0.
It's not
It's
gonna happen
not looking
for me.
good for Jay.
No.
Hey, Joe, by the way, DeQuell Jackson says what's up. He's watching right now.
Good.
Loves the
Oh, nice.
segment and
Great
wants
guy.
me to
We
tell
love
him
we
what's
love
up.
Greatest
DeQuell.
guy.
How many
DeQuell's
questions?
here on Friday, by the way.
Yeah,
So
he
we
is.
may have to
He's
get
in
you on the
studio,
weekend.
right?
In studio on Friday,
All
yes,
right,
sir.
very good. So if you hit him up, he's going to be in town.
He's supposed to be bringing me that good drink too. Don't be playing around.
Yeah, bring
I want
the good stuff.
Your $1,000. Don't be giving me no Burnett's. I don't want no VSO. I don't know E&J. You give me the good stuff, buddy.
Yeah, he's bringing it.
All
Okay,
right, we got
number
2
4.
more. Next, I have a condition that makes me laugh at extremely sad things.
Oh,
Bro. I'm going bro.
I'm gonna say bro.
See, I've got to make up ground. I've got to go Joe, but you have a great belly laugh, and I can see you doing that, by the way. But I got to make up ground, so.
Did you just notice what you did? You laugh. You're down, so it's kind of a sad situation. And you
I
laugh.
have it too. That means you have it.
Let's get the shovel out because, Jay, you're buried. This is absolutely Bro Jurevicious.
So this is that. So I got one. So I'm taking junior level English. Me and my roommate, we play football. We back there with like football hoodies on, right? So we getting to talking about trench warfare. We reading these stories about trench warfare in World War I, right? And so there was just a random line about guys just going down over this field getting mowed down. And the fact that the woman said mowed down, I just lost it. And then the teacher was like, sir, do you feel that it's appropriate to be laughing at people, veterans in the United States Army? And I said, I didn't think of it like that. I try to tell her I got this thing. Trust me, it hurts me, but I'll be laughing on accident. It ain't funny. And she's like, sir, get out. Get out. And by the way, you can only miss 2 classes for attendance. And she was like, since you already missed 1 class, that's the 2nd class you missed. You fail. Get up out of here.
Wow.
This is high school or college?
Oh, this college.
Oh, so now we're playing with your
I'm
eligibility.
about to say, was you academically ineligible?
I was there at summer. I was summer school game.
Wow, all because of this condition.
All because of that, right? It's crazy. I even went to
What's that condition
Is
called,
this
by
a
the way?
It's a good. It's a
Yeah,
good. You can look it up.
The condition.
The condition is called insensitivity.
You don't really actually clinically have this.
No, it's a thing. Like
do you have it? Like a doctor told you, yeah, you've got this. So,
Well,
like if
no.
you go to a funeral, you might break out laughing?
yes.
No.
Really?
It's I can't cope with it's like I can't. If you say I got hit by a train, for me it's gonna be like, who dies by getting hit by a train? That never happens. And then I laugh, even though like somebody.
I feel like I got that tad bit though.
So it's kind of like Tourette's, right?
A little bit. I think I got that a little
We
bit.
just start blurting out cuss words.
Yeah, like it's just. yeah, it's definitely. McNuggets, you get that definition coming up next week.
Yeah, we got one more, by the way, and before that,
I can't win.
Shout out to DeQuell, by the way. He's watching. He says he got whiskey. He's coming with the whiskey. DeQuell, if we have a Mount Rushmore of favorite guests, we have more than 4 we need to add, but DeQuell is a certified lock on that list
I mean,
for sure.
it's crazy.
All
Okay,
right,
number
last
5.
one. I have an awesome collection of baseball cards, including a Kobe Bryant rookie card. Who doesn't play baseball, but besides the point?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for Joe for that one.
I'm gonna go Joe as well.
Gosh, again, I got to make up ground, but I really. You know how much I love baseball. That's my thing, and you've never told me that. I'm on the newlywed date right now. I feel like I'm on the newlywed date right now.
Together.
I don't even know who you are anymore.
Are you my college boyfriend or what?
I took his age and what Kobe bit to us around that time. You just don't look like. I think like he would have probably appreciated.
So where do you go?
I gotta go with Joe.
What's the answer? I need to
Before I give the answer,
Please.
the condition G has is pseudo-Bilar effect.
Can I?
Oh, okay. There
I'm
you go.
trying to go.
P-S-E-U-D-O-B-U-L-E-A-R.
That's the first time you've ever heard that word.
Yeah, it is.
And the answer to that question, take it, Steve. It's G. Bush.
I was about to go 5-0, man. I'm sorry.
We just sold. I had a Michael Jordan rookie set.
See?
Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, you name it. Some of the best guys to ever play the game.
It really is incredible.
So I didn't have Kobe's, but
Yeah, so this was kind of cool.
I didn't look at you as a baseball fan though.
Oh, come on. I got every from 95 and 97, I have the entire roster. All of them cemented in plaques. All of them. Kenny Lofton, Baerga. I think the Baerga one's actually signed. I also have a lot of Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson. I even got NASCAR cards.
And you never told Jay this.
No, see, I don't even know who he is
never
anymore.
came up.
So this is kind of
It never
interesting.
came up.
So these guys said they've been working out together. Like, you guys must be working out for 2 minutes and that's it. Oh, listen, man, you guys got a lot of learning to do about each other.
We actually be trying to lift, but it's a
Walk through
whole.
the door, walk out, take a sauna, go home.
Yeah, I'm one of them dudes that be spotting you and never lift. You be like, hey, bro, you gonna spot? No, I'm just here to spot you and talk to people.
I wanted to go 5-0. Gee,
See, this is great.
Joe, did you play baseball?
I did. So
If you weren't a professional football player, could you have played professional baseball?
So I
'Cause I'm
have.
told you were pretty good.
My cousins were all Division I baseball players.
No kidding.
Huge baseball fans and baseball, fans of baseball and players. So my Uncle Joe always used to sit there and talk to me about like a switch hit, and I liked the game and probably would have played center field.
Wow.
I could run a little bit
Yeah.
back in the day at least. So it's a great game
was
to
a
watch.
switch hitter?
What a unicorn! A switch hitting center fielder that could run, and you're a white
With
guy.
that size.
But I chose to make minimum wage in the NFL instead of making $250 million. But
Yeah, it is pretty sick. Do you ever wonder, man, I wonder if I could have made it to the big leagues?
no, I don't really think about that stuff. I've kind of, I always use the term like land a plane. Like I've landed my plane. Like I don't really think about coulda, woulda, shoulda. I'm appreciative.
This the question. You asking it wrong.
Yeah.
Do you have a son?
I don't.
If
no.
you had a son and he was trying to decide between football and baseball, which direction would you steer?
We'd be working on his right arm right now.
Look,
It's
right?
just crazy. And they're great. They're unbelievable athletes, and to play the game that many days in a row and for months in a row, and then to do what they do it's an unbelievable game. But again, on the flip side of it, I wouldn't trade it for football.
No kidding.
Like I love the game of football and everything.
That's
that
great.
comes with
I
it.
have to ask you this before you leave, because I remember when it was in the news cycle, I was like, wow, that's just such a wild story. Am I remembering correctly? Were you a victim of a home robbery with a dude with a gun?
Yeah.
What happened in that situation, and how was it diffused?
Yeah.
So it kind of goes back to our earlier conversation where I ended up, I was going into my barn at my house. I worked out of my home office that day, and I went in there, and somebody popped up from behind my bar and had a gun at my head for 30 minutes. And like my 20 seconds of my life was sheer, like, I'm surprised I didn't wet my pants kind of thing. Like I was that scared for about 20 seconds. And then the, kind of being an athlete, that fight or flight kind of thing kicked in. And I remember reading an article about Conor McGregor, and he used to talk about some of the best fighters in the UFC that when they're getting choked out can keep their composure and get out of a situation.
Right.
But for 30 minutes, I was terrorized with a gun. Getting a piece of steel to touch the back of your head's never a good thing.
Oh my God.
And I was just kind of starting to get my head wrapped around depression, kind of getting it going. And then PTSD kicked in. And again, it wasn't the fact I got robbed. It was the fact that had my wife and my 2 young daughters walked in and that happened to them, it would have been brutal.
How did you diffuse the situation? How did it end?
Basically, once I got outside and I saw him switch the gun from right hand to left hand and kind of look between my barn and my garage,
See you opening.
I bolted.
You tackled him.
And the hell
Took
no.
off.
I got back in the house and grabbed my
you
gun.
ran from him.
Yeah, but it was just kind of one of those things where, you're not expecting it. I'm in my mid 40s at the time. Now, obviously in my late 40s here, but you walk into the house and you're just going to a place that my wife, my daughters, like every weekend, that's our kind of watch TV, watch some sports. I read in there. I would get up every morning at 6 o'clock and I would read books, just not on Space or Saturday. Or whatever.
Right.
But that's what messed with me was the fact that, if my wife and my daughter walked in, or my two daughters walked in there, that was difficult.
Were you targeted because he knew who you were, or was did he ever figure out who you were?
Well, I mean, it was weird because he had on my Super Bowl gloves, and that's when I did have my son was living, and I thought I recognized something, and it were the gloves I wore in the Super Bowl. That when he broke in, he went in and grabbed he wore them to not put fingerprints on anything. So.
He had to know then that you were a football player.
At some point, yeah, I'm sure there's pictures and stuff on the wall from my former life. But again, I think the pain of it all was just.
And you testified. I think I saw this about a year and a half ago, and you testified because he had broken into someone else's house as well.
Yeah.
And it was just riveting. The courtroom, and I mean, for you to come back and be able to speak with that level of composure.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow.
I told the judge, like, the competitive side in me is, what I want to do to this guy is never going to be allowed in the courtroom, right? Like, you messed with me.
Right.
And it caused a lot of problems.
I can only imagine.
It caused a lot of problems to the point that I still see doctors for it. And,
that's your space.
Yeah, well, now I'm ice tubbing and I'm doing all these things to get these endorphins firing in my body and get into happy spaces. So I'm on the road to recovery with it. But again, it's just like, if getting hit over the middle wasn't bad enough, then I had to deal with this. So it took a little bit, but it's been a road upward of, not survival because I survived the thing, but like the mental health thing is I'm pretty passionate about. Like, so when you see, again, guys like Maurice that have gone through this and what you're doing right now, is to be commended because it's a real thing. And then we got guys that are still playing right now or that have come out and are going through the thing. So it's real. It was just kind of crazy that I went from like, all right, I'm feeling better with my depression, and then bam, and that was a whole other set. I mean, hypervigilance and sitting outside at 2 a.m. with a shotgun in my lap waiting for somebody to come down the driveway is never a good thing.
Yeah, no.
Sleeping, not being able to sleep, and like it was a weird thing, but I'm alive. I'm happy to be doing the show.
Yeah,
I'm happy to be sitting next to my boy,
Bro Joe. You had mentioned
my white brother over here.
You had mentioned your son.
Yeah.
And I remember I was working in Tampa at the time, and it's to this day. I've been in this game 35 years.
Yeah.
It was the one story because I'm a parent, and at the time I had a young son.
Yeah.
And when your family was going through that and the loss of your son, I don't ever remember a time in the game where I felt like I couldn't go on television and talk about a story because the journalists in me, you have this weird wall that you build that you can separate yourself from the story. That's what you're supposed to do. When that was going on and that was in the news cycle, first of all, I thought the way you handled that publicly was absolute. One of the most incredible things I've ever seen from a professional athlete because I personally can't imagine ever going through a tragedy that's anything like that. I think that's the worst thing that can happen to anybody is to have to lose a child, particularly a young child. But I thought the way you handled that was incredible, and I'm sure that's probably shaped who you are today as well.
Yeah.
But I just want to, on behalf of everyone that was around you at that time, I just want to publicly commend you because it was the bravest face I'd ever seen on someone who I knew was walking through a living hell.
Right.
It was incredible.
Yeah, I think, again, I don't know what it is. Like, it's like I have this knack for being around not good stuff, right? But he's buried here in Cleveland, and after, I got the Super Bowl 37 emblem right on a stone, and again, I survived. And the reason, like, guys ask, like, how come you don't coach football? How come you're not involved in football? How come you're not doing TV? How come you're not doing this stuff? It's because I've seen the ugly side of life. That's the hardest thing I've ever been through, right? But now I've got these two daughters that, again, I push them. I want them to be not depending on a guy. I want them to be the man, if you can say that, right? I want them to be the person. I want them to be independent and flourishing. But again, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm very fortunate to have a good family, my wife, my kids, my parents, my best friends. I keep myself occupied. And again, I don't know, for whatever reason, I just seem to have this mark on my back of sometimes bad stuff. But
you were at when Lon's Winery, the deck collapsed.
yeah, I saved somebody. Well, I tried to save a guy. The only guy that died, I was holding his head together. And,
which is another, for those that don't remember, there was on Middle Bass Island in Lake Erie, there's a popular resort island, I guess, and there was a winery, Lon's Winery. It's still there, but it's a much different vibe today. But there was too many people on the deck, and the whole thing collapsed, and you were there. I can only imagine that trauma.
It's I know, listen, as I said, I've been around it. I'm not afraid to dive in and try to help people. And again, it's funny. Maybe there's a reason I need to get out of Cleveland quick, because I love Ohio, man, but I just had so much stuff happen to me. I'm like, you know what? Maybe moving out west.
I don't think there's a better representative of Cleveland. I don't.
I appreciate it.
Because your work ethic, you had that blue collar work ethic that we have, and you've always carried yourself with such grace, and you've always been nothing but a consummate professional. And we're thrilled that we had a chance to have you come in. You want to stick around for our top 5?
Sure.
Because when you go out there, it's going to be about 10 degrees hotter than when you came in. And it was already hot when you came in.
It was 2 days hot outside.
My warehouse, when I walked into my warehouse on 55th today, I walked in, and I mean, it was bad. And
it's supposed to be in heat index of
97, right?
It's creeping up there. So the warehouse had to be 115. And I called all my employees together, and I said, if you need my ass, I'll be upstairs in the air conditioning.
Well, here's the top 5 things. McNugget, explain it.
Yeah, so Joe, thanks for sticking around. We're just going to go to the end of the show. We're not even going to break. We're
Okay,
gonna
great
stick
idea.
around and do these. So as always, the Ultimate 5 is brought to you by Roundstone, and today's top 5 is the best things to do on a ridiculously super hot day. So first and foremost, though, let's give Roundstone some love. Roundstone offers a better alternative for affordable quality health care. For more than a decade, Roundstone Insurance has been saving small and mid-sized businesses money, an average of 20%. Yet 20%. Contact us today to learn how you can get great health care benefits that your employees will love and save money too. So today's record heat in Cleveland. It is only appropriate. I got my Hawaiian shirt. I'm going to the beach after the show today.
Nice.
Gonna post up.
What beach?
I think we're to Edgewater. It's closest.
Hey, you consider that?
We gotta get you.
It's not a real beach. Listen, I'm from Jersey. I know what real beach is. It's just sand next to the lake, but it's the closest thing.
Is this
sand next to the lake?
This an official visit or unofficial visit? You got you some recruits with you?
Yeah, we'll talk after.
Okay.
I got some stuff in my sleeve.
McNuggets always has the wheels turning. Always. I'm telling you, the first thing he asked me was, so what's the lady scene like here in Cleveland?
Hold on, wait, Mike. Before you go,
What's up? You trying to come, Tyvus?
No, but no.
I never was there.
Hit that weight room before you go.
Hey,
you know?
my boy, no,
He got his best Hawaiian shirt on. He ready to rock.
All right, top 5.
All right, number 5. When it's super, super hot, the best thing is just fly somewhere where it's not so hot. Get out of the heat, leave. The other 4 are actually involved with heat. But number 5 is to get away, avoid it as quickly as humanly possible.
I guess.
I'd rather just stay in the heat. I ain't going to the cold.
Give me the AC.
I just stay in the
I can't go to ask what I'm gonna do there. Like, I'm gonna just be looking at the snow and the trees. No, I'm not nowhere.
Yep. All right.
All right, number 4.
Not going over so well so far, McNuggets.
Get some ice cream. Who doesn't love ice cream?
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
for sure.
Totally.
Mitchell's.
Hey.
The best.
Yeah.
I might eat some ice cream at my house and then go get some ice cream.
Favorite flavor, Joe? What's your favorite flavor?
Right now, I've been doing these drumstick things over at DQ right now. The drumstick flurry, like it's not healthy.
Wait a minute, they got a flurry, like the Blizzard type.
Don't say I never told you.
Yeah,
I'm going.
Yeah,
I got one right by the house. I'm going.
Yeah, that's detrimental to the weight loss.
You don't look like you consume anything that's could be bad for you.
No, I do.
You haven't. Your body type hasn't changed at all since you played.
I'm probably about 12 pounds heavier than when I actually feel healthier now. You had to eat like a bird when I played. My weight at 229.
You still lifting though?
Yeah, just I walk.
You have to ask that?
That's kind of
some people naturally be
sun's out.
But no, it's not even that. It's like now the funniest thing is watching a 70-year-old person go run by you on a jog, and I'm taking a 4-mile walk in the neighborhood. Like that's my new exercise right now.
See, that's the thing. People don't realize when is the last time you sprinted. I
just did it like a couple weeks ago. I did it to prove it to myself.
Like, do I still got hamstrings?
I'm 28.
Give it time.
Yeah, no, I'm 28. Like
Maurice, when was the last time you broke out to full sprint?
Full sprint, like moving.
Not sprint, but interval runs I do every day.
Do you?
Yeah, so but not hard, just like walk around, just trying to keep my heart rate up.
Sure.
If you had to run a 40, time.
I'm dropping like 4.5, 4.6 today.
Yeah.
4.5, 4.6
Well, see, you
today.
ain't that far removed.
I got news
So
for you.
what?
Rich Eisen's running faster than me.
Those are the best videos of the combine ever.
No, I love the Rich run. Okay, number
three.
Yeah.
It's what I'm doing today. Go to the beach, lake.
Go to the beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nah, I can't do that.
All right.
You can't go to the
G-Bush, you're
not the
anti-beach.
pool.
I one time, see,
You're not that dude that wears jeans to the
No,
beach.
hold on.
are
I'll
you?
tell you a story. Now, I went to OU. I'm the first ballot Hall of Famer when it come to party. I was the party king. But I went to OU.
Yeah.
So the first time I went to Panama City, I'm down there and I'm thinking I'm fly. This like 2002, right? T.I. I had a huge, I had a velour, a whole Sean John velour suit on. And they like, and my best friend's a country white dude named JT. Said, buddy, what are you doing in that velour? You're gonna lose your. I said, man, this is what we wear. And I got out to that beach, had a whole nother.
Wait, you wore that to the beach?
Oh, I was out there with a chain.
Why would you do
with
that?
a chain and everything.
The real Joe's not wearing that.
That's definitely Bro Jurevicious.
And they didn't tell me that black people had to put suntan lotion on.
I'm on that trait that I don't believe in that either. Though.
Bro, I went to sleep on the beach because I was drunk and woke up and thought I was gonna die. I was confused. I was in shock, and I couldn't even go out the next day. So yeah, black people, you do need suntan lotion. That's another level. Don't play yourself.
And please don't take the velour suit to the beach. Number two.
Two more. Yeah, this one, 3 words. May indulge in one today, but ice cold beer.
Yeah.
Now, you switch that beer word with lemonade, and you talking my language.
Ice cold beverage.
Not a beer
How
guy?
about that?
I've never consumed alcohol.
Ives has never
in
had
my
to drink
life.
alcohol.
No kidding.
Really? Never, no smoke, none of that.
I've done no smoke.
He's
but
pure.
Yeah, that's what they say. My family was terrible growing up. I watched some stuff and I said, you know what? If this is how y'all
You're
act,
scared straight.
Yeah, if this how y'all act on it, then I'm like y'all. There's no way that I'm going to touch it. No way.
Commendable. I commend you for that.
The
Good for you.
consensus is with the two bros and the Joes.
I drink.
Yeah. Whatever you got too.
Lemonade.
It'd be Natty Light. Yeah, give me 2 of them.
Ice cold.
Natty
lemonade.
Light. You're still living in OU.
The Milwaukee's Beast.
Milwaukee.
We got to get him paid more. This
Balling on the budget right there.
Hey, that's what we're doing.
And the number one thing to do on a ridiculously hot summer day is
this is
stay in the
I'm
house.
yet to do it in Ohio yet.
Okay.
But the
Let me
number
see.
one thing to do
Stay
on a
in the
super hot
house.
day in Ohio, Steve, take it. Get the invite to Jay's boat.
We still ain't seen that.
What are you doing today?
Please let me see that picture again.
Yeah, Steve, let's go back one.
The only thing missing was the velour suit.
Hey, listen.
Anthony just stuck his head in there.
Right.
Anthony, did you make that graphic? That's what I thought.
Hey,
Yeah,
listen.
I said that to one Anthony yesterday. I made sure he got the time to make that one appropriate.
Hey, that boat. See, the boat life is different, right? That boat life. We have 2 classifications. You got a fishing boat, or you got an underneath boat. The underneath boat is if there's any place you can lay down, put a bag, or there's a cabin underneath there, you rich as hell.
Yes, that's a fact. That is a fact.
I would love to go out on the lake today, but I work a second job after this one.
I'll take your boat out.
But I can't.
He said I'd take your boat out.
It's too hot outside to do anything.
Well,
right
see,
now.
right now the water temperature is still cold. It's still like refreshing when you go in. In August, when it's 100 and you go in and the lake is like 80.
I'm staying in the house with the AC on.
All right.
Now, when we grew up, I don't know about you. When we grew up, we didn't have no AC. Like,
No, yeah,
so what would be on my list was you go to the grocery store. Like, if it's too hot,
Just hang out in produce.
Hang out by the push-up
yeah. We gotta go to Giant Eagle and get something. I don't know what it is. We gonna make it up, but it's hot as hell in here. You got one window unit.
McNuggets, I'll tell you, don't sleep on this. Slip and slides are for kids, but they should be for adults. Because
I go do that.
when it's really super hot and you put the slip and slide out It's a blast. I mean,
I can imagine.
It goes back to being, like 12 years old again.
Just having a good time.
Yeah.
Somebody gonna
So,
get on
Nuggets,
that
you
fire
have an invite to
hydrant.
come over and do my slip and slide.
We're gonna put you outside.
Get real tight before I let you on the boat, though.
Not the yacht. Not the yacht.
Yeah, hold on.
Can't root the vibe of the boat.
In the span of 1 week, Jay just said that, and I support Russia. So we got.
No, Rushi.
That's not what you said the first time.
There's a high school in in Ohio called Russia,
Right.
and they were playing in the state baseball championship, and we were talking about that story last week, and I pronounced it Russia, and we all thought like, wait, Russia? I've never heard of Russia. I later found out that it's pronounced Rushi.
Oh, where's it at?
Where's the
It's
5-second
in western
delay?
part of the state. They won the state championship in Division 4.
I saw that.
So a smaller class, but somebody in the town elders must have said, yo, we can't go with this Russia. This isn't working.
Yeah, there's no delay on this live. These are completely live. This is right to the phone. McNuggets.
So we got 12 minutes left, and we got to make sure we get to Maurice's final take. So
Okay.
I've teased this video as what the internet is saying. And as always, what the internet is saying is brought to us by our favorite airfoil company in the world, PCC Airfoils. Are you looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits?
This is crazy.
PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for positions starting at $18 an hour and up, plus get full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. And instead of what the internet is saying, today's segment is what the internet is asking. Steve, when the Stinger's done playing, please take 124 full and observe.
Is this the video that you've been teasing for 2 days?
Yeah, Tyvis, you got some explaining to do, bro.
Oh my God! Don't do this. Don't do this. Listen, hold on. Wait a minute.
It gets better. Hold on.
Can I tell my story?
You missed the ball and threw your club.
Oh, so let me tell you the story. So look, I gotta tell the world because I need to set this straight. Okay?
Bro.
So Bobby Carpenter asked me to come to this celebrity golf event.
Sure.
And I told Bobby, I said, Bobby, I would love to come, but I've never golfed in my life. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. Just come up there and just talk to people. just network. So, of course, I go, no clubs, no ball. I get, all right, bet. I'm saying, he's like, we're going to put you on a hole, and you just stand there at the hole, and people going to come rotate.
Oh, so you were the celebrity that just hit the tee shot with all the
Yeah, with everybody that come to that hole.
Okay.
And they have to pay $50.
Right.
So it's like $50 you could with Tyvus to take a hit. So the guy comes up, I was like, listen, before you pay, I've never played golf before.
How you never play golf?
Because I'm a football player. I ain't playing no golf. Basketball or baseball, so I'm not playing no golf. No.
Tyvus don't do nothing.
No.
Golf, drink, smoke.
So usually the people that do that on a golf course do drink.
Yeah, right.
Hold on, so let me finish telling the story. So the guy
you never passed a little something?
So the guy pays the $50 for me to golf. So I said, well, can I borrow your club and can I borrow the ball? He says, sure, go ahead.
No.
That's another man's club. That's another man's club.
That might be one.
This is so much better than I ever thought it was.
So you bought somebody a driver.
No, it wasn't a driver. It was an 8-iron. But anyway, so I'm sitting there. It's like, all right, let me get some practice swings. So I'm like, y'all tell me if I'm doing it right. So boom, take a couple practice swings. They like, yeah, that looks good. Like, just keep your head down on the ball. I'm like, all right, boom. So we all former athletes in here, right? So you know how right when you about to make contact, playing wide receiver, right when you about to make contact, you tighten up, right?
A little bit.
I didn't make contact with the ball. So I never thought to tighten my grip, and I just threw the club, and it was gone. Like, it was straight in the water.
So the guy that paid $50 had to play the rest of his round without an 8-iron.
Yes.
Did you give him the $50 back?
No. It went to charity. It was for charity.
For another 8-iron.
Listen, exactly. I told if the New Albany Country Club said that they will go get the club out. But if they don't get the club out, I will buy him an 8-iron.
When was this?
This was Monday.
Did you confirm he got his club back?
No, I got to reach out to him. Listen, stuff happens. Like, listen, but this is the thing. This is the part of the story that nobody tells you. After that wasn't it. Like, people kept coming up. I told what happened. They was like, you know what? Just don't lose my club. So I started hitting the ball. I started making contact, and I actually got close to getting it on the green. So it's hope.
There is
for
hope.
A guy that's never did it to start from there and to go where I finished, like it's hope. But my career is over with. I think I need to just go here. I went to Topgolf before. I did it twice, and I actually on the drive, I was killing. I beat everybody.
Man, that explains the clubs that are on 480.
Listen, stuff happens, man.
I know who put those there.
Yeah, Tyvis has been here. Do you play golf, Joe?
I do a little bit.
Yeah.
But
you ain't never did that?
No.
Well, you ain't living then.
That's a long drive competition to see who can throw the club the furthest.
Listen,
He still got his club.
If y'all need to go listen to the sound effect. If y'all would have heard how hard I swung that club, whew,
So
man.
there was a whoosh sound.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's loud
And then
too.
Can confirm. You could hear it on Twitter.
I believe it.
That is.
That's fantastic. So we're going to do Maurice's final take and then say goodbye.
That sounds good to me.
All
Maurice,
right,
you ready?
Maurice, this is big now. To Joe, every week, every day on the show, we end with final takes.
Right.
And Maurice this is the second time he's been here. He was here as a guest. Now he's here sitting in for Bull. So I can't wait to see.
Don't
where
mess
he's
the
gonna
church's
go.
money up
I
now.
know this is going to be good. This is going to be good.
Okay. Final take. Oh, y'all surprised me.
Where the heck you been the last 30 seconds?
Y'all should give me a rundown.
Right there.
You
look right there, and you tell the world what you want them to know. Right there.
That was profound, bro.
Hold on, wait. Take two. Here we go.
I just checked it. It was in the rundown. Maurice,
So
I
this
love
is
you, man.
what you want the world to know. Well, it was two things. We forgot to get it in during the conversation. One, you'll have a lot of fun in Nebraska, Joe. I lived in Nebraska for a couple years. Oh, is this it right now?
Go ahead. No,
Yeah,
you good.
yeah.
You good. Just roll it.
Roll it.
Final take 3.
Final take. This was a great show. I did want to mention during the show that you have a great time in Nebraska. I lived out there for a couple years. They have great people. They have the best restaurants. It's like the coolest and calmest place. I know you went as a rancher, but I lived in Omaha, and I love it out there in Omaha. So that is that. Bro Jurevicious and Joe Jurevicious, y'all need to collaborate and make a product. I think that's well. It was a great time meeting Tyvis. Thanks for coming. Thanks for having me on the show. I will definitely be back 1,000 times. This is the best and cheapest laugh. Brian Ekrod, I know you're listening to me. I told you I was going to give you a shout out because we got some visitors for the show. But I don't know. Support Cleveland sports. Don't be quick to judge everything with the Deshaun Watson thing. Gather all information. Make your own judgment. And I don't know. I thought I was going to watch something and something else was going to happen.
No, man, that was good.
That was good.
Profound and beautiful.
Listen, I love it. That's great.
was
Final
short.
take is just something that's on your mind that you want to blast out there. You
want me to show you how it's done? Let me do a final take.
And you nailed it. You want to do a final take?
He's a pro now. He's a pro now. We got him together.
All right.
Put the camera on.
Camera 3 up to Tyvis.
Put the camera on me.
It's coming.
Oh, this is gonna be. I know what he's gonna do.
What are you gonna do?
No,
Tyvis,
you
this
don't
better
know.
be about golf, bro.
This ain't golf. This ain't golf. This
And we
is-
love Leroy. You got to do that one.
Yeah,
Thanks, Leroy, for
shout out
coming
to
on.
Leroy. Shout out to Steve. Go Bucks. Anyways, my final take today is you need to take the time out to reach out to your favorite athletes. All throughout our careers, we go through it and we on this high pedestal. Everybody loves us. You cheer for us on the field. You cheer for us off the field. We getting people that was wearing our jerseys, and it's so inspiring to us. But the time that we need y'all to cheer the most is once that playing days is over. We talked today about how people deal with depression. I know for when I was done, because it happens so suddenly that you're never really expecting it to happen. It can just happen at a snap of a finger. So you need to reach out to those guys because you never know where their headspace is going to be. For me, I never knew what my plan B was. Plan B for me growing up was to make sure that plan A worked. So once I got that final call and they released me and I was done playing football, I didn't know what to do. Thank God I had a wonderful wife who was there to support me and help me through it. But it was to a point where I felt truly lost. 'Cause just giving up something that I just spent my entire life trying to be the best at. And to not do that anymore, I didn't know what to do. So luckily, I had a beautiful wife that helped me out, and I had a friend that got me into doing media. But the whole point of this message is to please support your favorite athletes post-career because that is when we need your support the most.
That's a great point.
Good one.
Well
There
said.
it is.
That is a great
There it
point.
is.
because when that music stops, it gets quiet real quick.
Oh, forever.
Forever.
Hey.
That's so final.
I mean, you're dealing with extremes, really, because your whole life you're the best on the team. You got all the adulation. Sometimes they bend the rules for you because you're good, and you get 100,000 people in a stadium cheering for you. You're holding a Super Bowl trophy, and then one day it's like that sound effect where the record skips, it's like, and the brakes are applied, and it just suddenly it just gets deafeningly quiet. And that's a great message.
So, suggestion to all you people out there: just be medium like me. Never be that good.
No highs, no lows.
I'm with you, G.
Ain't nobody gonna take right. You medium. No expectations. Ain't like, boy, he done made it. This the highest I've ever been.
Says the man who carries this around with him wherever he goes.
This the highest I ever been. Mom, I'm on the set with Joe Jurevicious, Tyvis Powell, and the great Maurice Clarett.
As we sign off, can we make sure that this show gets clipped and sent to the Kansas City radio station? It's time that they're in on the joke.
Absolutely.
It is time they're in on the joke.
I did want to ask this. I want to know, is the person still employed?
That's what I want to know. I want to know the same thing.
They should have brought you over right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Over the whole station.
Come on now.
The next evolution of this story is to reach out to the radio.
We do
host.
have to reach out. We will reach out, and hopefully very soon. The next time Maurice is on, we'll make sure we get an answer from the KC radio station. But we got
60 seconds.
63 seconds. So,
Joe, will you come back?
I will.
Because we had a blast. We had a blast with you. There's a lot easier to get you if we didn't.
Yes.
Joe Jurevicious, even better person than he was a football player, and he was as good as it came, as good as it had in that time frame. Joe Jurevicious was money, third down guy, played on great teams, 3 Super Bowls. So Joe, thanks again.
Just don't follow Trent Dilfer.
Don't follow Trent Dilfer. We are out of time. We're back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern on I think the greatest Cleveland sports show.
Why this? Come on now, man.
As we wave goodbye to an 8-iron.
just like you thought.
Back tomorrow. Beat the Heat. We'll see you then.
The arm swing.
The arm swing right here.